Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing?
Good, and you?
Good.
The heck of a whiteboard behind you.
It is, huh? It's a lot to write. A lot to write all the time.
Did Cassie ever send? Well, did you ever give the forms to Cassie to give to us the other day from your group?
Oh, I
The class?
did. I posted it on the Facebook page.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
So
you.
if you go in there, it's in the files. Yep.
Okay, your class was very informative too. Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully today can be as just informative as the other day. All right, let's play a little music as we wait here.
Okay, I'm going to go on mute because I'm going to start driving, but I have my headphones in.
All right. Let's get pumped up a little bit.
All right.
Morning. You guys will get to see my playlist. It's really my daughter's playlist, but
Good morning.
good morning. How are we doing?
Hi. How are you?
Very good.
Jameson, if you want to make me the host, I'm on Cassie's account for just like 1 minute, and I'll take us over to Facebook, and then I'll make you the host again.
All right, make host. All right, change host here.
I don't know why it only works with. I think it's because Cassie set it up, so it just doesn't.
Yeah, I signed into the Regions account as well.
Yeah, so I think you have to be on her account to have the Facebook have permissions or something. I don't know, or it's a made up workaround that I think I discovered. I don't know. It could be.
Listen, as long as you get there, it doesn't matter how you get there. You got there.
Right? Yeah. Okay, where am I going? KWNE. There we go. And
We have to use the whiteboard. All right.
Jameson, what session is this?
This is the second to last. This is Financial Basics,
Okay.
Elements 8.
Thank you.
One more and then graduation for everybody.
Yay! That's the best day.
I like it when it's in person because you can really have like a big celebration and then,
Yeah.
Maybe even go out for some spirits.
For sure. Those days are coming.
They are.
I feel it.
I got my kids like all crazy today. Looks like I kind of put my head out the window when I was driving.
You look absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thanks, David. Thanks. You too, buddy. But
The only difference between you and me is the amount of hair and the fact that I didn't stick my head out the window.
Okay, Jason. We are live on Facebook. I'm going to give you the host controls back, so you can share your screen, or I can make you a co-host, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you have someone joining you for the chat today?
No, I can handle it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can hang out. I think I actually am available to. I don't have to. Sometimes I have other like meetings, but I think I can hang out if you want me to.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Okay. And then I can I can just keep an eye on it for you. Or I can, post things in it if people need
Yeah.
it. That's really the part that gets
Yeah.
tricky. And I'll put my correct name in here. I am Erin McLaughlin, not Cassie.
Is
And-
Cassie still away? Or
I
did she
don't
come
know.
back?
I don't know. Honestly, I know there was a date. There was some dates for that, but I don't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, because I saw her post the other, what was it, yesterday, the day before?
Yeah.
whatever, By
Yeah,
the
I don't
beach,
remember what the-
relaxing.
I feel like we all need to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I need like 10 vacations, one right after the other.
That's called retirement.
Oh, I'm not there yet.
I'm talking about the 10 vacations.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying I'm not there yet. I mean, I guess I retired. I am officially retired from the public schools. I officially,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, I retired from public school teaching at 40 years old to become a realtor. And then now here I am 4 years later as a coach. So
Still
not,
yelling at people.
yeah,
Great.
like the same job.
Yes. Like, wait a minute, I'm still teaching? I
Yeah.
thought I was done with teaching.
Literally the same job. I just talk about different stuff.
I understand that Tim retired from being a humorist. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I stopped being funny this morning. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
takes it off the shelf every now and then, though.
Oh, so nice.
Tim's got the radio voice too. He's got that voice that just, like you can listen to all day long. I think.
Oh, I don't know
Oh.
about that. You better check with McLaughlin and my wife on that one. I don't know if yeah. Brian Gallagher's here. He brought his topiaries. I'm very excited to see
I
you
know you
again.
do
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
great backdrop.
He really does.
Thank you. It's compliments to my wife and my mother. My mother's a designer, interior designer. So
Send her to my office, would you?
Nice. That's
Yes.
put her on your vendor list.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
she is. Trust me, she is.
Mother Gallagher, the topiary queen.
Yeah.
It's a longer domain name, but we'll get her the website.
My favorite part is that these don't need to be watered.
Yes. Plants you can't kill.
Do they have
for-
twinkle
yes.
lights on them too?
Yes. Let me get
Oh my
that done.
goodness.
Let
Oh,
me get that
wait.
done for you.
See that you had me at
Topiaries,
twinkle
what are you
lights.
doing?
Aaron's like, I just need some.
Is that Molly Ringwald
in
from
my life.
16 Candles? Who is that
Now we're
behind you? What's the
complete.
painting? I'm so confused right now.
I don't
beautiful.
know. It was a painting that my wife, she was really into, and apparently there's a connection with her grandmother. She said it kind of reminds her of a younger grandmother.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Aw.
Oh, the
That's right.
topiaries are lit. We can start now, kids. This is
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, it's 9:00.
Yeah, this is 9:00. I mean, this is great. So, we'll wait. We know how realtors are. We'll wait about another minute. And this is the second to last Ignite training. So this is exciting. I bet everybody's excited to finish Ignite. And who's going to be doing Bold? That's
Good
what I-
morning, Jason.
Good morning.
It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, that was opened up to the region, just so people know. Greater Hartford is hosting that. Bold Digital Local is now, they're doing it. It's back on a Zoom format, and they're doing it to local market centers, and per head count, they've opened it up to the rest of New England. So if you, just to make your life easier, if you simply go to the domain gotobold.com, it'll take you to the link. And I don't know when they're going to be full. I actually don't know if there's such a thing as full. I know there's a lower head count. They need to have 80 to make it fly. And I think it tops out at 120. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There's capacity though. So
Yeah,
it may be full. Yeah.
It does have a limit.
It's going to be the old kind of format, just in Zoom though, virtually.
Yeah. So to Jameson's point, if you did digital Bold when the pandemic hit, obviously they were about to launch the next round of Bold, and they had to park that obviously because of 6 feet 1 inch and masks and nobody flying and the world shut down. So they went to a digital format, which was good. What people missed with that, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud as a coach, people actually missed the accountability because it was self-serve, jump in the room. You weren't formed into teams. They're going to be moving back to that model with this, which starts next Tuesday, 9 to noon for 6 weeks. Tuesdays from 9 to noon for 6 weeks. All the details are gotobold.com, and it is half the price it used to be. It's $3.99. The brick and mortar version, where you got yelled at in person, was $7.99. It's $3.99. And you can also talk to your market center. There might be an opportunity where your market center is doing Bold reimbursements. Some do, some don't. Ask your leadership and go to bold.com.
I also just want to jump in on that. Just I do believe that some of the data coming out of the test sites, I think they tested it this version in 8 locations.
Yeah.
They've had 8 groups come through it, and the average is 14 contracts during that 6 weeks. So that is as effective as when we used to be in person.
Yep.
That was about
Super
the
effective.
national average, right? So so it is effective, right? So that's an important thing to note too.
And for clarity's sake, so to Erin's point, 14 contracts means you signed a buyer into your business, you signed a listing into your business, or you put somebody under contract.
Yeah.
Any of those variations. It doesn't necessarily mean 14 under contracts. And especially over the course of 6 weeks, you'll put people into gestation, but they won't necessarily hatch. Although it's going to put you into the mindset that you should be doing the activities. So if you went out of Ignite into Bold and make less money, I will give you my address. You can come kick me in the face. It's not going to happen, I'm sure. I'm old, but I'm spry. I'll duck. But anyway, you can. I invite you to take it out on us if we're making it up. We're not making it up.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you this. I mean, when I first joined Keller Williams, my first Bold was with Mark Richards.
Yes.
And truly, I mean, set me on a course of success.
Yeah.
And what I learned in Bold, I was just a team leader for about a quick minute. And I brought what I learned back to the market center as well. And I had, at the time, there was only about 20 something agents at our market center, and we had about half of them in Bold. And the 3 top Bold attendees were from my market center.
That's awesome.
Because they plugged in.
Mhm.
And from that point, they've seen success, which is tremendous. Ignite is just that first step. And I'm glad we're seeing a lot of people taking Ignite throughout the region. And Bold is that next piece in your business to help you keep moving forward and keep you accountable. And I love it. And, the trainers that are doing it are always fabulous. But I got spoiled with Mark.
Yeah, Mark Richards is phenomenal. Yeah. Well, that's a great point you bring up, Jameson. Sometimes veteran agents will get into a Bold, or they'll find out who the instructor is. They're like, oh, he or she isn't my favorite. I've got my favorite. And it stands to reason you're going to be your favorite Bold instructor, your favorite MAPS coach. That's where I invite our agents to ignore the chef and eat the food, right? It's the content. It's Gary's content that's really where the meat on the bone is. The meat is on the bone.
And
We have a veteran agent up here, Melissa Lesniak, who's about to do her 19th.
I was just going to say, there was an agent when I took the first Bold, and she takes it, twice a year.
It's probably Melissa.
So probably maybe it was, and I can't remember her name, but she was in the Bold, and she takes it twice a year, because and very, very successful agent. But it's one of those things where, and she says every single time, I remember her telling this story, is every single time that she took it, she took something out of it more than what she learned before.
Yep.
And so hopefully today, all of you that are here, this is Ignite, financial basics. So to be successful in your business, you need to know how to make money and keep money. And be profitable. I want to introduce myself once again. My name is Jameson Souza. I'm the team leader over at Keller Williams South Watuppa. Some people like to call it South Watupa. It's down in the south coast of Massachusetts. So kind of from Seekonk to Marion. So, if you're looking at the arm of Massachusetts, we're like right over here on the bottom of the arm. And love, being part of Keller Williams, and I love teaching this. This is one of the things, every time a new agent comes into my office, I actually teach this to those agents when they have their first commission check. I sit down with them and I go through this financial journey to teach them, to be basically a business person and own a business, because a lot of people feel like, oh, I go work. I'm working for Keller Williams, or I'm working for Joe Schmuckarelli Realty. No, we're in business together. You need to know how to be a business person. We've been training you throughout Ignite, okay, how to lead generate, right? We talked about those pillars, right? So lead generation, that is the key all the time, right, in your business. How to brand yourself, how to be, right, top of mind of everybody, to remind people who you are and what you do. And, part of being a business owner is to know your numbers. So we teach you how to know your numbers of how many contacts you need to make, okay, each day, and your conversion rates. Well, we need to know our numbers as well financially. And we need to be financially sound in your business. So I want to kind of just go over, what you want to see today. And I need to get my pen and pad out. And I want this, like we did last week, is to be interactive, right? I don't want to do all the talking. I want you guys to ask questions, and it's okay to, interrupt me. If you're not getting something, that's okay. If it's a question, that means it needs to be answered. This is what we're here for, right? We want to help you. So who would like to share something that is in their journey so far in real estate, and especially financially, their financial journey? Don't all jump at once either.
Obviously, having to adjust to not having a steady stream of income, and not
Absolutely.
necessarily knowing when you're going to get paid or how much you're going to get paid.
Right.
Having a
So,
plan for, sorry.
right. So you're not getting paid every week or every bi-weekly or, twice a month. You're getting paid on your commission, right? So it's something like we talked about, when I was doing the training, last week also, is what you do today affects you 30, 60, 90 days out. And so it's the same thing, with your finances. So what else?
Also hidden costs that you don't think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Those hidden costs.
I'd say just all the startup costs to even get to this point.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. I mean, that's one thing, I tell people it's one of the businesses that you can invest a little money to get started. But people believe that then you don't have to invest as the business is going. And that is a misnomer in real estate. If you look at all of the top agents throughout the country, you'll see like what they're investing back into their business. And we're going to get into that today. What else?
I have something. I've been in for 2 years, and I've taken Ignite and Bold, and every time I've seen more knowledge. I think this is the one that's going to do it for me, I believe. Anyhow,
I love that mindset, by the way.
thank you. For me, it's been money that I've been spending trying to get that secret little nugget, the thing that's going to get me going, that's going to lift me up. And next thing you know, I've spent $400. I've spent $600, and I wish I had all that money back and maybe save it so I can buy something to invest in.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's just learning how to manage the money and to know when to stop and when to go. And
Yep.
that's my thing right now. And also learning.
Yeah, no, one thing, we're going to go over is how to lead with profit. Because as agents, and as humans, we we get that kind of the shiny object syndrome, I like to say, and go, ooh, I want to buy that.
Yes.
That is going to make my life easier. Well, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it until you have a conversation with your coach, your team leader, and talk about where that money is coming from. What else we got?
How to deal with taxes.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, taxes. Wow. I was waiting for somebody to say that, right? Good old Uncle Sam. You know what? You know, and it's funny because there's so many agents even in my office. You know, my office now we have about 163 or 64 agents, something like that. And guess what, right? It's tax season. And so many of my agents were, I mean, it was like a sigh of relief. They were like, oh my God, I have an extra month to pay my taxes because, you know, the government, just the federal government, not the state government yet. I would assume that the state government's going to follow the states, but the federal government has postponed taxes for a month. And so many agents are just like, oh my goodness, thank you. And that should never happen. And we're going to talk about that.
Mhm.
How about what are you excited about, right? So what opportunities do you see for yourself and what are you excited about?
Well, me personally, I'm excited about getting out there officially and, at least getting a buyer seller so that I get practice on the whole routine from start to finish so that I can get it under my belt and not think about what I don't know. I want to just, have it come natural and be able to, so I can focus on the lead gen and stuff like that instead of thinking about everything I don't know, what I'm confused about.
Yep, I get that. And it's okay not to know things because
I can definitely relate with what Trevor said, 100%.
Yeah. No, I mean, one of my partners here in this market center, he's been doing the business for 51 years. And to this day, he still says that he learns every day in real estate. Every transaction is a different transaction. So don't be fearful of that, of not knowing everything. It's okay. You have the support around you in your market centers to help you guide you through those, and overcome, any of those kind of objections that you see. But what else? What other opportunities do you see for yourself, and what else are you excited for in the next coming months, in the next year?
I've never been in a professional arena where there are this many placeholders for earning, like decimal placeholders. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I've just never been in that ring. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Isn't it cool, right? There's no limit. There's no ceiling. I mean, I ran a nonprofit for 17 years. And so I knew what I was making every single year. And so I would say it was maybe the 10th year I was in that, running the nonprofit. And I worked out, this deal with the board. So the more money I brought in, I would get a bonus on. So through the grants and donations and stuff like that, I would at least get some sort of compensation, a little bit. It was a little, but yet it was because I'm bringing in more, so I should get more. And I'm working harder because there's more programs now. But there was, and then when I got into this business, I realized, wow, there's no ceiling. And then I learned it was okay, how to sell $1 million in real estate. Then the question was okay, how to sell $1 million. And then the question was how to make $1 million. And I was oh my goodness, I want to learn more about that, how to make $1 million. And then I was in a training once with Gary Keller down in Austin, and he talked about giving $1 million.
Mm.
And I said to myself, wow, that is very impactful, right? To give $1 million. Because, I mean, think about it. I mean, think about what you're doing and all the good you're doing back to your community by giving that. And hey, listen, on the flip side, how much money are you really making to then give $1 million? Right? Like, wow, that was something that was very impactful. And so I get that. Oh my God, there's no ceiling, you know? So what else? What else are you excited for? One more, and then we'll move on.
I'm excited for the opportunity of growth. I've been in customer service with CVS for 15 years, and with every position that I want, I have to apply for it. Whereas with real estate, if I want it, I go get it. I have to have that mindset to keep going. Whereas I can't just have somebody, I have to apply for it and then tell me in an interview, oh no, you didn't get it. If I want it, I can go get it. I don't need to wait for somebody else.
Yeah, right. I love that. That absolutely. I mean, that is great, and that's something, you know, through the journey that we all will have through real estate. It's, you know, I tell my agents, I even tell myself every morning I wake up, I'm actually unemployed. You know, I need to go get it. Right. I look in the mirror and I say, okay, it's up to me. It is up to me to then go provide for my family today. And if I don't do it today, then I've only failed myself. It's like being a golfer, right? Golf is the game that, you know, you keep your own score. And if you kick the ball like out of the rough and put it, you know, on, you know, more greener pastures, are you really doing a good service to yourself? You know,
we refer to that as winter rules, Jameson.
Winter rules.
I will be utilizing the foot wedge this Saturday, I'm sure, along with a lot of other people.
I'm not saying I do or I don't, Tim, you know, use that foot wedge when I'm out there, but think about it, right? As that analogy, right? What are you doing to yourself? And it's the same thing with real estate. When you're waking up, you know, and you say, oh no, yeah, I did my lead gen today. But did you? You know, it's funny. One of my agents, what she does, and she's killing it. And, you know, she already has about like 8 million, either closed or under contract for this year. And she doesn't go by yeses for the day. She goes by how many no's that she can get.
Yeah.
Because she creates a different mindset.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, but we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to dive deep right now into finances, right? Because with your finances, that is one thing that can break you in this business or can make you jump over mountains if you handle your finances the correct way, right? So we just talked about this, and all of you kind of mentioned this, right? And I've talked about it, right? Grow your business, right? Is, you know, the time together, you know, is to teach different habits, right? And we're going to build financially sound businesses together today, you know, and we're going to employ techniques and models used by the most successful agents, okay, for how to manage your commission check. Because so many people will get that commission check, you know, they'll get that check and they'll be like, oh my God, I just made $10,000. Did you? Did you just make $10,000?
No, you didn't.
No, right? Because what we need to do is we need to then place the money in the right positions to help us grow our business. You know, I mean, there's so many times, so many agents, and those are the agents that are in the business only for a couple of years. They'll make that $10,000 and that is spent before they're even getting that commission check. So we're going to learn how to handle our money better today. So
James, you got to stop stressing me out.
It's okay. Listen, we're gonna get a little salty today. We're gonna get a little salty, and I'm gonna be real with you, Trevor, right? And all of you. But I'm telling you right now, this is a model. You know, Gary Keller has sat down with thousands and thousands of agents, and he's asked them what has worked and what hasn't worked. And, you know, we showed this last, right? This is on my desk. Okay. Every day I look at it. You know, is the MREA, right? It's the red book. And so, you know, if you follow the model, you'll be fine. And lean on people. You're not in this alone. You know, and that's what I love about Keller Williams. You know, I came from another brokerage, right? And you know, I won't say it, but you know, it's a big name, right? They're black and gold. You know, they used to, you know, you used to be able to hit the home run balls out, you know, of the All-Star game. And I was like, wow, you know, and but I felt like I was on an island. And when coming here, you know, to Keller Williams, I realized that, wow, you know what? You're not on an island. It's okay, you know what, to say, hey, I need some assistance. I need to ask a question. And we're all here to help you, no matter what, whether it's, you know, whether it's the market center you're in or a different market center. Like I talked about Mark Richards, right? Mark Richards, awesome guy. He's up in Maine. I'm down all the way in Massachusetts. You know how many times I've called him and asked him questions? Oh my God, I can't explain to you how many times I've talked to him. Great. You know, and he's always there. And, you know, Nate and Matt, and so many people, you know, I mean, I talk to people down in Arizona and California and Florida and Washington, DC. And we're all in it together. So don't be afraid, Trevor, right? Don't get scared. So I want you to think back, okay, to the classes you took to become a licensed real estate agent. Do you remember learning how to handle your finances as an agent while studying for those licenses?
No.
No, right? It's one thing that's not taught. You know what's funny is it's not even taught, finances is not even taught in high school, right? To our kids, how to even balance a checkbook, right? So we need to learn how to do that, right? It's a no. So we're going to dive into this. So, oh, and by the way, you guys can see my screen. I apologize. Right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, because like I told you, I'm not that tech savvy kind of guy.
You're fine.
So I want, you know, let's kind of read through, okay, these habits, okay, and for a financially sound business. One is we need to set a profit goal that funds your big life and to pursue the activities to achieve it. Okay, we need to estimate, save for, and pay your taxes on time. Notice how that's number 2, right? We set our goal, and then what is it that a lot of agents get confused on, right? They actually get confused on the income that they're getting, that $10,000 check, and they think it's all profit. And then they don't save for, and they don't pay their taxes on time. There's so many agents out there. And we want to make sure that that doesn't happen for all of you, right? They don't make use of the powerful tools available to them.
What's important to remember too, Jameson, is if somebody's thinking about if you're going to a kitchen table, right, in ordinary time, if you're going to a kitchen table today, it's probably going to close in about 90 days. That is now, as of our calendar, June 21st, which is officially the second day of summer. So if you're thinking with my next closing, I'm going to start to save for my taxes, you're already 6 months behind. So said with love, making sure that you're always putting whatever you decide, if you use the CGI tool, you're factoring somewhere between 30 and 40%, and talk to your accountant or your CPA about what that number looks like for your family and the way you guys do your taxes. That should be getting stored away every transaction. Not like, oh, I'll figure it out at the end. So you're gonna count on all your fourth quarter closings to pay your taxes, or and invariably, if you're working on paying your taxes after you submit, or you know that you're going to get that letter from Washington after you submit, which we just got an extension, right? It's not April
Yeah,
15th.
30
this year.
days. Yep.
Yeah, please just treat that to Jameson's point. There's the revenue coming in, there's the net, and then there's the profit. And the net is Washington coming through with the net to scoop up their money. So don't forget
Yeah.
that. 33 to 40% should be getting.
And Tim, you mentioned, right? So your fourth quarter, you're like, oh my God, I got to save, or even your first quarter, right? So you're like, okay, your fourth quarter is over. And now you're hustling for your first quarter to pay your taxes.
Right.
Right. And what happens then in your first quarter? Okay. So you make enough to pay your taxes, but then who did you forget to pay?
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right.
Maybe Ford, maybe your bank, maybe your mortgage,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're in a financial nightmare because you are hustling so bad to then just pay your taxes. I mean, it was funny. I mean, the first year that I was doing this full time and I paid taxes and I was writing out a check and my wife saw the check and, and she said, what the F?
Yeah. Yeah. What is
Like,
going on?
And I was like, what? And she's like, are we really paying that to the government? I said, yes. And she's like, we have that? I said, yes. And she's like, where? And I learned, and we'll get into a little bit, like what I did, and I'm kind of going a little off script at the moment, but right away was I created a second account just for my taxes, everybody. And what I did was I sat down and I created a money market account. So it actually gets a little bit because it's sitting there all year because I set it and forget it. Okay. And we'll go into the amounts and what we're doing and how we divvy it up in a little bit. But I created a money market. I funded it. I threw $1,000 of my own money into it because I needed to have a minimum of $1,000 in the money market. And at the time it was getting like, I don't know, like 0.35 or something, but it was better than just sitting into a checking account. And I have that in there. Now, I mean, my money market is a little bit better. I'm getting 2.5, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I've moved that money market account to several banks throughout the years because I look for the best number, the best return on my investment, my ROI. But I set it and forget it. I take a certain amount, pull it right from the commission check, and it goes into that money market right away. So, what many agents, don't understand is their financials. And a lot of them just wing it. They don't realize how much money they should be putting away for lead generation, for if they have an office, occupancy, for training. How much money should you be putting away for professional development? Your supplies, your phone, equipment, your auto, right? How do we get to appointments, everybody? We drive. And if you're in New Hampshire, Vermont, or Maine, you really drive.
Yeah. Everything's 10 minutes, Jameson.
Yes, everything's 10 minutes. That's how I get to places. Everything's 10 minutes.
If the cops aren't working
at 12
watching at
o'clock,
7.
I'm leaving at 12, by the way. So everybody loves it. They call me Cool Breeze, and I'm always late for everything. Even I was late for my wedding, which was just, I can't explain it. It was literally a minute away.
I'm sure your wife can explain it. We'll have her on later. Yeah.
Yes. But the other thing is people don't plan for their monthly salary, right? Some people talked about that, okay, yeah, there's no ceiling. But you know what? We should be setting some expectations about having a salary every single month and living off of those means. When I got into this business, I was scared. I was really scared, everybody, because I went from a salary, I was getting a check every single week. And, and I'll be honest with you, it was really scary. I just had My daughter was just born. And I sat down with my wife and said, I was doing this, what we call part-time, right? I was a dual career agent. I don't like to say the word part-time because in this business, you're not part-time. It's sometime here, sometime there, sometime everywhere. And so, but I was doing very well. I made my salary in 6 months. And so my partners now, Cliff and Lou, came to me and said, Jameson, you should be doing this. You would kill in this business if you just did this and focused on this business. And I said, yeah, but you know, what scares me is just that commission. Like, you know, I don't know what's coming in tomorrow. And so they said to me, well, we'll put you on a draw. And I said, well, what's that? What's a draw? Well, you know, you can pull money from us, and if you need it, so you'll always be, you know, content, and you won't have money breath. So you won't be at a table and trying to close somebody and just be like, oh no, this house is beautiful. Yeah, it's crooked. You know what? It's missing, you know, it's missing the staircase too, but no, this is going to be great for you and your family. No, it's okay. Listen, we will look at as many houses as possible until we find you your home. And so I went back, I sat with my wife and I said, you know, Cliff and Lou are going to put me on a draw. And I said, the one thing I don't like about that is then I'm going to have to owe them money. And then I'm going to feel obligated all the time. And so I sat back and I said, you know what, if I did my salary in 6 months, the first time, and I spent it, by the way, I spent all of it, didn't save $1 and nothing for taxes, by the way.
Taxes, pesky facts. Who needs tax money? It's fine.
Right. I spent it all. I mean,
they know where you live.
We went on trips. We did the house. I bought a hot tub. Like, it was great, everybody. Like, I was like, wow. I mean, remember now, I was working for a nonprofit.
It's like a bad 80s movie. Keep going though.
Right. Yeah. It was a nonprofit, everybody. And so I said, you know what, though? If I could do it in 6 months, I could probably do it again in 6 months. So I'm going to create my own draw.
Good for you. Yeah.
And so I figured it out and I said, okay, this is what I needed. And so what I did was I set a goal to say for the next 6 months, I need to make X. And within about 3.5 months, I made it. I was like, oh my goodness, this is great. So I created my draw and I kept on moving forward. And so I sat down with the board of directors. I told them that I was leaving and I made the leap. I jumped in, all in, both feet, right? Face forward too, right? Fail forward, everybody. To this day, I still have that sitting in an account because I have not pulled from that draw. But I keep it there because it's a mindset. My wife talks about this all the time. Why is it still there? And I just say, you know what? Because it reminds me every single day that I need to work harder than I did the day before. But I created the draw to make sure that I had financial security. That if it didn't work out, I had something to fall back on because I had a family. I just had a newborn. So we need to prepare, okay, to be financially secure.
It's like when Jim Carrey wrote himself that check for $1 million, right? It's the same mindset that you created for yourself, having that money there. And it's a great story to tell, and it's a great example for your kids. That's awesome, Jameson. You make a great point too. So many times, especially when people are coming out of a corporate environment and they're coming into, being their own small business owner, that we are making enough to pay our bills, right? And that's the Michael Michalowicz book. If you haven't read it yet, the reason when you sit with your coaches and do your GCI tool, it's profit first.
Yes.
Like, what does Jameson want in the bank after taxes, after expenses, after cost of sale, and then reverse engineer it to the kitchen tables. And that's why
Great
we
book,
do
by the way, too. Right? Profit.
phenomenal book. And that's the mindset is profit first. We pay ourselves first. And then we take care of expenses, taxes, and cost of sale and all of that after the fact to make sure the money that you wanted for your family, for your opportunity is cut first.
So let me ask everybody this question. What is the purpose of being in business?
Provide yourself the lifestyle that you and your family want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's definitely an answer.
Well, you got to make money.
Right? Profit. Right? Profit. That's the first thing we talk about in business is profit, right? You know, I'm invested in a multitude of different businesses, and that's one thing we talk about, right, with all my different partners. Is that's the first thing. Okay, what's the profit for the month? And then we back into it, right, and then see how that came to light, right? So, you know, and with profit, you have the money to do good, right? As Ryan is saying, for what you want, right? For your family, for your community, you know, whatever you desire. When you set your goals, you become aware of how many transactions you need to close to reach your financial goal. And then this is the money that you will use for your big life to do good. So we're talking about sound financial best practices to incorporate in your business from the start with every transaction you close. And you have to stay firm with yourself. You can't cheat yourself. You can't be the foot wedge that Tim is going to be this weekend on the golf course. Right? You can't do that. You have to be sound. You have to be tough. You have to set it and forget it. Like I talked about, I have a separate account for my taxes. I'd never even look at it until I sit down with my CPA. And he knows whatever number he comes up with, I have it. You know, money is good for the good it can do. Gary Keller. Great quote. So financially sound or unsound. Now we're going to review two scenarios. Okay. So page 4, and I believe it's page 4 in your book, in your, right. Let's see here, page 4. Right. So there's two different scenarios. Scenario 1, right? It's a $9,000 check. Okay. Jessica gets, she closes on a home and her commission is $9,000. Is the $9,000 commission check, right, that Jessica received, is it profit or income and revenue?
Incoming revenue.
It's income and revenue. It's not profit. And that's great, right? That we know that. The profit is what is left over after you do all your business, okay? And all your taxes, okay? And your personal lifestyle, right? So it's important to know the difference between your income and your profit, right? So what do you use profit for?
Golf and hot tubs.
Right? Buy the hot tub. Go on trips.
It's an image, Jameson. I can't shake it.
Listen, I didn't have my dad bod.
Picturing you with a floaty around your waist, a couple of cocktails.
Right?
And for clarity, my golf game is so bad the foot wedge doesn't come out. There's no need for it. It's not going to help anything. Trust me. Yeah.
You're just dropping the ball.
When somebody asks me my handicap, I just say yes.
Yeah. So, so I want you to kind of, right, take a couple of minutes, read through these scenarios, okay? And we'll read it through together, okay? And, you know, kind of figure out, is scenario 1 or scenario 2 the best one? And I mean, you know, so the first one is, right, Jessica sells. She's got a commission of $9,000, right? She gets the check after she pays, okay, the market center. She gets a check for $5,760. So she puts that $5,760 into her bank account. So essentially it goes into her wallet. And she looks at her bank account and now it's 5,000. Oh, I'm sorry. So she took $90 out, right? And in her wallet, she's got $5,670. She's richer. Now, scenario 2, Jessica has a $9,000 commission check. She gets, the market center pays her $5,760. Now she separates everything. And this is where a great book is Profit First, and definitely read it. Go on Amazon and find it. And she then creates a business account. She puts $1,728. Then she puts $4,032 into an account. And then she creates a separate, and she puts $996 in federal, and then $616 into self-employment. And then she puts $2,419 in her wallet. I think we all know, right? Scenario 2 is the more financially sound. It's a number we don't like to see because we want to see that 5,600 and something dollars in our account. But it's the one that is going to guide you to be a better business person. So this is what we're aiming for today, okay? Is how to keep money in your pocket and make sure you're not chasing the dollar when the dollar needs to be paid out. And the one person that always needs to be paid, okay, I should say there's two people, right? First is yourself. You need to pay yourself because you need to live. But you need to then pay Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam was always going to get his money. So we need to make sure the expenses and taxes are accounted for. So building on financially sound business example that we just reviewed, let's take a look at some models in the MREA book, okay? So, and one of them is, if you go to page 157, right? So 157, you're going to see in the MREA book, you're going to see, okay, a table like this. And with that table, okay, you're going to see how you can break down your business of what I talked about, right? Salaries, lead generation, occupancy, technology, phone, supplies, education, equipment, and auto. Those are your account, your chart of accounts that you should be placing. And it's really easy if you go into, okay, into your KW Connect you can look for chart of accounts, okay, and have that. And it's there. I'll actually even post a blank one in the, what do you call it? The Facebook account later on, either later on today or tomorrow.
Jameson, this chart doesn't include taxes.
It does, okay, but it's hidden in there, and you're gonna see where, okay? So, do you believe, okay, that 40% though, and do you think 40% of your income is a reasonable percentage to have left over for your profit? If you were given a $10,000 commission check. Because the idea is to drive 40% to the bottom line, which is a huge, huge margin, right? Compared to any other business. Do you think we can get to that 40%? And why do you think that? Nobody wants to jump in? That's okay. So the key, okay, with your financial is always to lead with revenue, not with your expenses. So when you start out in real estate, you will spend a little bit. So here in Massachusetts, just to get your license, it's a little bit over $1,000, okay? Just to get your license, to get up and running. And then, you know what, to get started, I would say probably another $1,000 just to kind of get your materials and things that you need. So it's about a $2,000 startup. Basic, bare bones startup. Now, any other business, if I could open up, let's say, a restaurant for $2,000, oh my goodness, I think there'd be a lot of restaurants opening up. So it's not a lot of money to get started. But then the key is moving forward is to then lead with revenue. It shouldn't cost a lot to generate buyer and seller leads if you're working your database every day. And we talked about this, right, last week, all of you and myself, about how you can find leads for free or for very, very little money, right? So if your database is not big enough, your SOI, then it's easy to generate more leads. Okay, and we talked about it, right? We talked about absentee owners. We talked about, you know, command leads, how even getting, you know, partnering up with a lender or a certain vendor and helping them pay for that or for short money. So the other day, one of my agents had this house that everybody knew it was going to be crazy. There was about, oh geez, over 100 and something showings on it. And so she told everybody to throw it in command and for people to get leads off of it, to get more buyer leads. It's not like we need more buyers out there, but we need to be working with people. And the amount of people, and I haven't got the exact number yet, but I will at some point, but it had to be in the thousands of leads coming from that one property with our agents leveraging that one property that one of our agents had that was in leadership. So our goal is to help you realize that keeping your costs low though, and working your database, you can generate a tremendous amount of business for very, very little money. And we went through it, right? So the flow of money, right? We've all talked about it, okay? The flow of money, you get income that comes on in, you have your expenses, you minus your expenses, and that equals your profit. But what Gary Keller and all these agents that Gary met when he wrote the MREA said, you know what? Yes, those are the 3 pillars. But how much money do I want to have in my bank account at the end of the year? How many homes do I need to sell to achieve my profit goal? And how can I minimize my expenses to maximize my net income? And so what they did was they took this chart and they reworked it. They flipped it. They backed into it. They figured out, okay, what is my goal, everybody? What is my profit goal at the end of the year? How much money do I want to be in my account? Okay, so then my income. Now I'm going to go all the way down to my income. And how many homes do I need to get there to sell? I'll tell you, a great training, if you haven't, and I'm going to throw in, and he's going to love it too, is Brad Knowles does a business planning clinic. I love Brad, right? If you haven't taken either Brad or somebody else's business planning clinic, you need to take it because it's learning how your numbers will really work. It'll break it down. It'll simplify it for you. And we're going to touch upon it a little bit. Okay. But it's figuring out, okay, how many homes do I need to sell? And then what are my expenses? And then how do I minimize those expenses? Questions? Ahas. What do we got? I'm not the only one here, everybody.
It gives you, it gives me insight into what I need to do if I know my numbers, that I know if I need those many homes for sale that I help sell, then how much time I have to, how many people I need to talk to, how many no's I need to get to before I can hit those numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing you'll always hear, okay, your coaches, you'll hear Tim, you'll hear Erin, you'll hear, Matt and Nate and all the team leaders out there and agent service directors is know your numbers. Know your numbers. You should know how many houses you need to sell every single year to every single month to every single week to then get to your goal. Because here's the thing, right, is you say, oh my goodness, I have to sell, let's say I need to sell 50 houses. Or, we'll break it down even easier, right? Easier numbers. So we'll say, 48. Okay, I need to sell 48 houses to meet my goal. You go, oh my goodness, at the beginning of the year, and actually it's not even at the beginning of the year, you should be doing your business planning clinic of business planning in like October for the following year. Because what did we talk about earlier, right? Tim and I were kind of going back and forth, and what you do today affects you 30, 60, mostly 90 days out. So you need to be planning 90 days out all the time. So in October, you're planning then for January. Because if you're planning in January for that year, you're already behind. So let's say in October, we plan that we need to sell 48 houses to hit our goal of what we want in our bank. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot of houses. But then you break it down and you say, well, actually, that's only 4 houses to get under agreement every single month. Then you go, well, let's break it down even more. Well, that's really only one house per week to get under agreement. Now you say, okay, well, what's my conversion rate? How many people do I need to meet with to then get to that one? And let's just say, even if it's 1%, right? So we're going to use just simple numbers. So that means I need to talk to 100 people per week to get to that one. Now let's break it down. Oh my God, 100, that's a lot of people. Well, let's break it down. Let's say you're only working 5 days out of the week. Well, it's really only 20 people per day. Now, doesn't that make it actually feel more achievable?
It's actually very encouraging because that's about the amount of people I speak with every day. So thank you. I'm on the right track.
Yeah, awesome. That is awesome. I love that. Right. So now, is it going to happen? You know, that 1% every single month? No, I'll be honest with you, it's not. Right. But then 1 month you could actually have, it could be 3%, could be 10%. And when you master your craft and you practice your scripts all the time with everybody, you will get better, right? I think it was Trevor mentioned, you know, he wants to, you know, when he's out there, he wants to make sure that he's comfortable talking to everybody. Well, the best thing to do is to master those conversations, master those objections. I'll tell you, I have, right? So someone called me the other day and said, Jameson, listen, I'm thinking of selling my business. I'm ready to, you know, move on, but I want to go into a completely different direction. And I want to go into this other business. And I have a acquisition team ready to purchase. And so I said to the person, we'll call him Bob. Bob, that's not for sale. And so he said, no, I get it, but can you reach out to, you know, to that owner? So I called him. Now I'm thinking, now I'm like the, you know, the crazy whisperer in the office. I handle objections all day long. So I'm ready. I'm ready for all the objections. Like I'm ready. I call this person up and I say, hey, Ralph, you know, Jameson Souza here from Keller Williams, you know, a team leader. You know, I just have, you know, sorry to bother you, but I just have somebody that's interested in sitting down and talking to you about your business and investing in your business or potentially even purchasing. And the person was just like, I'd love to sit down with that person. There was no objections. For about 20 seconds, I didn't know what to say because I had the mindset that there was going to be a lot of objections to it. So, but you noticed, what did I do? I picked up the phone and asked the question.
Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a great book, to your point, Jameson. It's I'm going to ruin his name. It's Jia Zhang. I'm pretty sure it's not Irish. I will throw it in the link. The cover of the book is the name of the book is Rejection Proof. The cover of the book is an umbrella with all the rejections bouncing off. I'll put it in the post. I also put Michael Mikhailowicz's Profit First. The premise of the book, to Jameson's point, that Jia Zhang writes, is he sets off and he just starts asking for things he presumes he's going to get a no on. And one of the first stories in the book is he goes into a Krispy Kreme and he asks the manager for their classic donut arranged in the Olympic rings and colored appropriately. And when he asked, the girl like Scooby-Doo's her head a little bit and she's like, when do you need that by? And he's like, 4 o'clock. And he goes back, she hands it to him, flat box, opened it up, the Olympic rings. And he sets through the entire book about, to your earlier point, Jameson, chasing the no.
Yes.
National average is 19 no's to a yes, right? So if you're on your 38th no, keep going. There's probably 2 yeses on the way.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's what one of my agents does. You know, she tracks her no's. She doesn't track her yeses. And her conversion rate keeps on getting better and better. So what happens is she keeps on now producing more and more because she's still chasing the same amount of no's.
Oh, good. I love it.
Right. So let's just, and I'm not even sure the number, but let's just say she's chasing 20 no's per day. So by her calling and practicing and doing her scripts and just picking up the heaviest thing in our business is the phone, right? She is now doing more business because she's still trying to get to the 20 no's for the day. She recreated, she flipped it, just like the flow of money right here. She flipped it. And the key is, if you don't have a goal, if you haven't done your 1-3-5 yet, which all of you should have done through this, okay, through the Ignite, if you don't know where you're going, you're gonna be like Chevy Chase in European Vacation and say, look, kids, Big Ben Parliament. Look, kids, Big Ben Parliament. You're gonna go around and around in the roundabout the whole time. You need to map your course. And this is what we're doing today, you know, with your finances. So income in your real estate business can really only come from a number of sources. Mainly listing income, right? Because that one is actually your best. Because that one you can get both sides on, which is great. It's not, it's limited, but it's not limited, if you know what I mean. Right? Your sales income, so but having the buy side, so that's limited because you know you're only going to get 2 or 2.5%. Your listing, you're going to get 5-6%, which you should be going in by showing your value. Right? We went over that with the listing presentation. Your referral income and leasing income. Now, we all have the unfair, right? The unfair profit, right? Unfair revenue, everyone, right? Aaron Kaufman, right? Profit share. We all love that. That's great. That's passive income. But this is extra, this is income that we are creating ourselves, right? So your listing income, your sales income, your referral income, and your leasing income. Notice how I said referral income? Because we can sell pretty much anywhere. I mean, we're in all 50 states. We're in 40 something, I think, countries, or 50 countries now. It just keeps on growing. But the other day, a friend of mine who's moving from Boston and he's buying in Fort Lauderdale reached out to me and said, hey, can you help me out? Because I've set that expectation with my sphere that I can help you wherever you are or wherever you're going. And right, in your leasing income. In some areas, leasing is more prominent than others. So cost of sales, right? What goes out of your business? It's your cost of sales. it's important to understand the cost of being in business with your market center. Okay. In our case, those costs are company dollar, it's royalty, any kind of referral fees that's owed to the market center. So some market centers have a referral program. You know, they might be using a vendor that does referrals, but that's your cost of sales. So does everybody know what their market center cap is? Right. So what I want you to do is, yep.
Oh, okay. I can say what mine is.
Yeah, go ahead.
$21,000. I don't know what the 100 amount is, but yeah, it's somewhere around 21,000.
It's 21,000. All right. Do
Yeah.
you pay royalty?
I'm not sure. I honestly haven't got a commission yet, so
Yeah, that's okay. Right.
Yeah.
So
3,000 royalty, they told us.
yes. Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, spoiler alert, everyone pays royalty.
Yes.
That's your
That is
Gary
one
money.
not sure, but
And I say that, you know, as a little bit of a joke, and even Tim knows, because a lot of times it's always forgot, you know, but it's 3,000 and then you cap, right? And then whatever your market center contribution is. So it should be somewhere between, I'm throwing out, but like ours is 23,000, right? So everyone's different. Every market center is different because it's where you're located. And it's a formula that Austin and the market center has created. Okay. So your cost of sales, okay, like I said, is your company dollar, your royalty, and if there are any referral fees. Okay.
Jameson, before we cap with the market center, usually there's between like we could either choose 70% or 80%. The market center has given us an option for that.
Okay.
So does the broker's commission or the broker's part and the royalty come out of that 30%? Or is the royalty gets paid? How does it get paid basically?
So this is what I'm gonna see this big white board behind me. I'm gonna just break it down, okay, for you really easy.
Okay.
So I'll bring it closer. Can everybody kind of see it? I know there's a little bit of a glare. Okay. So I'm gonna just use the norm, okay, of the 70-30. Okay. So 70%, okay, goes to the agent. 30% is contributed to the market center. Okay. There's a 6% royalty, okay, that comes off of actually the top of your commission.
So the royalty fee comes out before the 70-30 split. Okay.
But then the 70-30 is then split off of the top as well. My MCA does this a lot better than I do. But, and then let's just say we're going to use my cap, okay, in my market center. Once you contribute that $23,000, okay. Oh, let me take one step back. Once you contribute $3,000 into royalty, you no longer pay the royalty and you're capped on your royalty.
For the year, just
For
to be
the
clear.
year, for the
Yeah,
remainder
everybody has a
of
different
your
financial
anniversary year. So if you signed up, let's say April 15th, your cap date more than likely would be May 1st. But you should always check with your market center to make sure that is your cap date. It should be in, you know, either the offer letter or what you're, you know, the documents that you're signing. If you're not sure, just talk to your MCA. Okay.
What do you mean by the cap date?
What's that?
What do you mean by the cap date?
So Trevor, when did you sign up to Keller Williams?
End of January.
End of January. So more than likely your cap date is February 1st because your cap does not start until the first transmittal after you sign. but I would double check with your market center. Okay, because some market centers, what we do is we call cap management. And we might move.
Okay,
your
so it doesn't
cap
go,
date
it doesn't go
aside.
year to year. It goes from the day you officially started.
Your
Yes.
financial calendar. And to
Okay.
Jameson's point too, Trevor, you make a great point. So you say that you technically signed your paperwork at the end of January. Your license may not have landed back at the market center until February.
Yeah.
And that may have triggered actually a June 1st date. A March 1st date. So just again, to Jameson's point, check with your MCA, because also from a cap management standpoint, so we have an even calendar of cappers flowing at all times. They can also maybe gift you a month and have you start a little bit later just to manage the cap for the entire company. Historically, though, it's probably going to be the first day of the month after you sent your paperwork in.
Majority of the people, that is the way.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Okay.
a question quickly. Hi. Regarding the $3,000 cap or
Yes.
royalty cap. So you're putting at the top of the 70-30 split per commission.
Yes.
Would that make it a percentage at that time, or does it come out as a lump?
No, it's a percentage. So it's 6%. So the 6% that I crossed out comes off of it. So let's just say it's $10,000. $600 would go to your royalty.
To pay down your $3,000 and then your $3,000 caps.
Yep.
So
Everybody, so many people say, well, can I just pay the 3,000 right off the bat? No, no, you cannot do that. Okay. So now, right, that 30% that you're contributing to the market center, once you contribute whatever your cap is at your market center, okay, you no longer pay this 30% and you're at 100% for the remainder of your fiscal year.
Jameson, can I ask one question? I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
What is royalty again? I'm sorry. Royalty, what is royalty?
So royalty goes to Keller Williams
Yeah.
International, okay? And that helps us get all these, they actually invest that money back into the agents, okay?
Okay.
And create all of these fine tools that we have.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, James.
Yes.
So if I'm looking at this right, if we had a $10,000 commission check, and that's after we split with the other person, right? So 3,000 would go to the broker, $600 would go to the royalty for a total of 3,600.
So let's just do it off the 10,000.
Yep.
Right. So you're not splitting anything. You get a $10,000 commission check.
Yep.
Okay. $600 goes towards your royalty.
Right.
Right. 3,000 of that goes to the market center.
Yep.
So now you're bringing in $6,400.
Right. So 3,600 goes
Yep.
to the royalties and the broker.
Yep.
And the remainder is yours.
And then the remainder is yours.
Because that first figure you had earlier didn't make sense to me because it didn't figure out that same way.
Yeah, so we're gonna we'll dive a little bit deeper. I know sometimes we're actually gonna do an exercise of breaking this all down.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that we're gonna do the exercise, but just to Trevor's point too, don't we have to factor in also the percentage that goes to the buyer agent into that as well?
So what I'm saying is that that's already been done.
Right.
Okay, so let's just say it was a $20,000 commission and you broke it up into a 50-50 split. So it's 10,000, 10,000. Okay. So that's after you've already paid out the buyer's agent side.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, not a problem.
I guess the other question too then, Jameson, is for the 30% that goes to your market center, is that 30% of the original 10,000 or is it what was left after paying the 6% royalty?
No,
Gets split.
it's off the top again. So total, so really it's 64%. If you really want to get technical, 6% goes to royalty, then 30% is contributed to the market center. And then that royalty, that 6%, once you hit the 3,000, your royalty is capped. And then once you can hit your contribution for your market center, whatever that number is, then you're capped for the year. But it's coming from the top.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. And, you know, the good thing is so I always tell our agents, okay, to sit down with your MCA after your first commission, and you're going to get a sheet, and it's going to have it all broken down for you, so you can then just understand it. And knowing all the market centers, they will be willing to do that. So now kind of digging right into like what we were just talking about. All right, we broke it down. So this is in your sheet, okay? So I believe it's like either page 9 or page 10. Right, so page 9 in your book, okay? Here's the formula, okay? So this is your cost of sales at the, right? So at the top of the page, right, you'll see the 3 formulas. And then we're going to review, right? So you got your GCI, times that by the 30% is amount paid to the broker. Okay. And then you're going to take your GCI again, your gross commission income, and you're going to times that by 6%. And that's your royalty that's paid with a cap of the 3,000. And then your net commission check is your GCI minus the company dollar and minus the royalty.
I'm sorry, but what did GCI stand for?
Gross commission income.
Yep, gross commission income.
And a friendly reminder for those of you doing the long division at home, don't forget, Jameson just said that's your net, right? What happens after your net, your profit?
You have to pay.
So your net, you still have to talk to Washington. Then
give it
it's
all
then,
away.
then it's hot tub time after that.
Yep, then it's the hot tub, right? So now, once you cap, okay, on your royalty, because most people will typically cap on their royalty before they cap in the market center. Now it's a little bit different. I'm going to throw a little wiggle in this. If you're on a team, it's actually it's always reversed. If you're on a team, you actually cap on your market center company dollar before your royalty. But so once you cap on your royalty, then you can take out, you do your GCI times your 30% to your market center. And then that is your net commission check. Now, right, this is the big wow. And this is what, I mean, once you cap, it's kind of like a drug a little bit, because the agents fall in love with it. And then they say, they come to me and they go, Jameson, how do I get there sooner next year? Is because now once you've capped, you take your GCI, your gross commission income, and that is your net commission check right from the top. And then that's the big aha.
Jameson?
Yes.
On number 2, it doesn't make sense. It says you've already capped on your royalty, but not on the company dollar. But then they're telling you to subtract your royalty, but not the company dollar in that figure.
Yeah. So, well, you know what? You would be subtracting your royalty, and your royalty is 0. It is confusing how that is. It shouldn't. The royalty shouldn't be there because your amount has been paid to KW International.
Yeah, but then they're not subtracting the 30% after that. Right, they left that out by accident.
Oh yeah, you know what? It should be the opposite.
Yeah.
Good catch, Trevor. It should be the royal. It shouldn't be the royalty. It should be the company dollar.
I'm a math guy.
Yes. No, that you're absolutely right. So number 2, everybody, right? Cross out royalty
Yeah,
and put company dollar.
30%.
And that's your 30%. Because like I said,
Thank
you are more than likely going to be capping on your royalty before you cap on your company dollar. The only scenario I see, and it's not always, but I see it, is if you're on a team, it's actually reversed.
Thank you.
Okay. So going through this exercise, what are some of your ahas on this?
It makes everything clear. It's I can understand it better now, rather than, oh, if I sold a house for 250 and get a 2.5% gross commission, what am I gonna allocate to Cal Williams? What am I gonna allocate for taxes? But now everything makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
So Jameson, it should be 5760 net to you on the first one and 6,300 on the second, correct?
So what are we doing this on again? How much money?
On the first one, the figure should come out to 5760 that you're getting after you split the royalty fee and the broker fee.
Are we doing this on 10,000 or 9,000?
On the 9 that they have
On the
page.
9. Yeah, why they did 9, I have no idea. It's a bad number to do, but yes, yep.
Yeah, so it should go 5760. The number 2 should be 6,300, and the number 3 should be 9,000. Right?
Say that again, Trevor, just so I can just.
So
do
you
it.
got 6,300 for number 2
Yeah.
because you're only doing the broker, and then number 3 is full, so it should be 9,000. Correct?
Number 3 is the 9,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Yes.
Sure.
Jameson, can you walk me through number 1 again? 9,000, the first one, please.
Not a problem, right?
Depending on your state, what is the portion of taxes we'll be paying to Uncle Sam?
We're gonna get to that, Nicholas.
All right, because that's when I was like, all right, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah, right.
There's no explanation.
For the first hour, that's all we talked about, and then we're
Yeah.
not talking about it right here because we're not there yet. Again, right?
All right.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
right.
I love it.
Thank you.
This is the feel-good math right now.
Yes.
All right,
yes,
all
yeah.
right. Because I was
Yeah.
getting confused with the math you guys are doing,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna wait. Thank you.
All right. So number 1, right? And so Trevor has it in front of him. I'm gonna lean on Trevor, right? So you got 9,000 for your GCI,
Yes.
right, Trevor? And number 1.
Yeah.
And Joyce.
Yep.
Right, and then you're gonna minus. Okay. You're gonna actually times that by 30%, and you're gonna subtract it. What's the next number on that, Trevor? What's your 30% on 9,000?
2,700.
2,700. Okay, so you're going to take that 9,000 minus the 2,700, and then the next is your royalty. Okay, so now you're going to do your 9,000 times that by 6%, which is what, Trevor?
540.
540. Okay, so now you're going to get your 3,000. You're going to get your 9,000 minus what's the number?
2,700 minus 540.
And it equals
5760.
Okay.
All right, Joyce, does that help?
Got
It
it.
helps. Thank you so
Now-
much.
You're very welcome. Now, number 2, though, okay,
Yeah.
there's an error in this, right? And we
Mhm.
caught it, right? Because now you've already capped on your royalty. Okay, so because it says you have already capped on royalty and you have not capped on your company dollar. So the formula should be GCI minus company dollar, okay,
Oh,
which is 30%.
okay.
Equals your net commission. So now,
We did that on purpose to make sure you guys were paying attention.
yeah, yep. Trevor,
But
what
we're-
market center you in?
But where it says,
Pinnacle Central.
Central, you should go to your TL and say, Jameson said I caught an error in Ignite and I need a $25 credit for my command ads.
I'm gonna
Who's your
tell him
TL Who's your
50.
TL over there?
Yeah, let them know that Jameson waived your company dollar for 2022, and he's throwing in
I
the hot
will,
tub.
for sure.
Foot wedge.
Yeah, call it the
He's gonna
foot
give
wedge.
you 45 leads.
Okay, so Jameson, on the number two.
Yes.
So instead of, so it's company dollar, but the GCI, it says times 6%. It wouldn't be times 6%. It'd
No,
be times 30%, right?
Yes.
Of
Yes.
whatever your market center split is, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
your market. So some market centers have now went to an 80-20 split. So it all depends, right? So every market center, you know, is different. It's a little bit different.
Okay.
But we're doing it on the base of it's a 70-30 split here.
Right.
Okay. And then the third one is the most difficult one. Is whatever your GCI, right, is on that commission check. So it's 9,000. That's what you write in that box is the 9,000. I'm being a little sarcastic. It's the easiest one. It's the best one.
Yep.
And that's why we love capping. And that's where it becomes a little bit addicting. Once you cap once, you then want to learn how to cap faster. Because what we teach you too is that 30% that you're contributing to the market center is no longer needed to be contributed to the market center. That 30%, you can now contribute it to your business. And that's where you're going to see the growth of your business jump leaps and bounds. And maybe buy a hot tub.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Well, Jameson makes a great point. When you first capped, Jameson, I'm sure your wife said, "Congratulations, honey, do it faster," right? Like it's just
Absolutely.
And honestly, when we look, I always say to our agents up here at 463, I appreciate that your financial date, like Trevor's, might be February 1st. When I was in production, and I obviously still have one as a member of Keller Williams, and I still hold a license for referral purposes. So mine's March 1st. I want you guys. And, you know, and not to speak out of school if your coaches at your market centers are teaching you differently. I want you to ignore your financial date. Start to be a business person and just look at January 1st to December 31st. Because if you are flying at 40,000 feet with your business, as Jameson said, like this is just going to become a pleasant speed bump in the year. Because we always hear agents saying, "Oh, like I had 4 deals that were about, you know, that are going to close after I cap or after I roll, I should say." Well, any deal that you have in gestation that's going to pop after you roll is wood for next year's fire, right? So just that speed bump in your life here at Keller Williams, once you become a consistent capper, a repeat offender, is just gonna be something you want to do quickly, right? So the freshman year, you do it in 6 months. Let's get to 5. Let's get to 4. We've got some mega agents because they have so much wood stacked for next year's fire. They are capping in hours, if not days, if not weeks.
Hey, guys.
Yes.
Obviously, if you're an agent, you're selling a ton, you can cap quickly, right? So what does it matter to them if you pay it all on your first commission check or you spread it out? Because they're getting the same amount of money either way.
Yeah, no, you're right for the person, right? For the individual, for the agent. But what do we do, right? What does 48% of the profit every single month in the market center go to?
Profit share.
Profit share.
Yeah, the agents who contributed to help build the company, right?
Right. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that they're getting their fair share.
Okay.
So if an agent then decides to just give that money, okay, on the first deal, it could potentially affect how profit share is done.
Okay, I see.
Okay. And really, like what Tim was just saying, if you're flying at 40,000 feet, what does it matter to you? It doesn't matter because you're going to cap and you're going to cap like that.
Right.
I mean,
well, and you're going to have, you guys probably all have people in your market center that our veteran agents or the neighborhood they play in, you know, all the houses have 2 decimal points. You got people that they'll have on their first pop after they roll that they pay off all of their company dollar because of the size of the deal, or they do it within 2 deals. And obviously the market center is not going to force them to stretch it out. But what you'll notice, if, as Jameson said, some market centers nationally have gone from a 70-30 to an 80-20. Now, market centers that elect to do that, it doesn't affect the amount the agent's going to pay. It just it elongates the process of them paying down their company dollar. And it's a win for the agent because they're getting more of their revenue up front. If I'm capturing that additional 10%, but yet I'm paying off the market center dollar a little bit slower, maybe 1 or 2 deals slower, because I'm only doing 20% now as opposed to 30%. Because you'll hear that with other models at other brokerages. They're like, oh, my split's 90-10, but like, yeah, but it never goes away, right? And it never goes away. Like I'm on a 90-10 deal, but my numbers stayed the same. Well, you're just getting more of your money up front. It's not, we elected here at 463 to do 2 things. We lowered our company dollar cap from 24 to 20, and Nathan elected to go to 80-20. So it was a win, you know, it was a win-win for our agents. It was something that he had thought about doing, and we did it on May 1st as the pandemic started, because that was the right time for him to do it. Yeah. And, you know, and I would argue too, as the coach, and Aaron and myself, you know, we also built a television studio. Like we've got more cameras and microphones in this building now, and we've elevated our education to where you guys can do it in your comfy pants with your topiaries over there, Brian Gallagher, you know, from the comfort of your couch with that beautiful artwork behind you. Right. So when we think about this as an agent leaning into our clients, how are you going to delight and surprise them? How are you going to elevate the service and also create great value for them? And that's what we chose to do here. So everybody's, as Jameson's talking about these numbers and these splits, remember your market center numbers, you know, they could fluctuate. And usually your company dollar cap is reflective of the environment you live in. If you go to Malibu, California, it's not $20,000.
Yeah.
It's like,
going to Manhattan, you know, I remember when I was at FSO, which is Franchise Systems Orientation, and I was sitting next to the TL from the Manhattan Market Center. Whenever he told me his rent, I think I might have pooped my pants a little bit because
a lot of hot tubs.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I was just like, but then I looked at it and said, wait a minute though. The amount of company dollar that they're doing, you know, that they're receiving off of a transaction and what their market share is a lot different than Fall River, Massachusetts.
Sure.
And the cost of living over there. But I mean, they're down in Manhattan, and I mean, it was in the millions, you know, their rent.
Yeah.
But and everyone's different, you know. So you know, you look at, you know, and books are open. You know, I look at, you know, let's just say somebody's rent, you know, in Western Mass compared to Eastern Mass, it's different. You know, compared to Connecticut to New Hampshire, compared to, you know, New Hampshire to Maine, and it's all different. And what, you know, Tim alluded to as well is, you know, we talked about the value that you bring to your clients, right? When we did the listing presentation and your buyer presentation, what value do you bring? Why are they coming to you? Why are they staying with you? And why are they referring more business to you? Is because of the value that you bring. Well, as a market center, we do the same thing, okay? We bring the value to our agents. And one of the things we did very, very quickly when the pandemic started on March 13th, right? The world shut down. We turned on because we were prepared and we all plugged in together, and it was like drinking through a fire hose a little bit. But what we did though was we made sure that that value was there. And we continue to do that because we realized, wait a minute here, we were still missing the opportunity, and it kind of made us reflect of what we need to be doing better. So why do you think, you know, now we have, you know, regional trainings more, you know, where there's more national trainings? Because we realize, wait a minute, we can do this in our, you know, from either our office to your home, or maybe to my home to your office in a very easy way.
Well,
So-
ironically, Jameson, the last physical training that Erin was supposed to go to with Nathan Dickey was Michael Michalowicz Profit First.
Yes.
If you remember,
I was there.
he came to New England, and that was the day that the Curtain and the
Yep.
Sanctuary tour. And like, actually, Nathan had Erin stay home because she's a cancer survivor.
Yep.
He's like, maybe you should sit this one out, And if you think about that moving forward, Gary's alluded to it. If you've signed up for Family Reunion for next year, they've alluded to the fact that it's going to be a hybrid training, most likely.
Yep.
And I think we'll probably be doing that from a regional level. So Michael Michalowicz might be brick and mortar down in Somerset, Mass, because Jameson will host.
Yes.
And we'll probably have a 4K camera set up, and you'll be able to watch it from the comfort of your couch, right? So, like, that's just the way we're going. But a year ago, Jameson, if you said Michael Michalowicz is going to be on Zoom, people weren't into it. They're like, no, I'll drive down to the South Shore and be in a room with my fellow K-dubbers and drink average coffee and have a stale cookie and listen to this guy talk about Profit First, because I want to be with people. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And we've created this because this is our only thing right now. And I think as we go back to brick and mortar and hybrid, you'll have a choice, but it'll be based out of safety, comfort, and convenience.
Yep.
Right.
Because everybody's in a different situation.
Yeah.
And, and we need to make sure that, we're cognizant of that. And I'll tell you, that was a great training. I got out of that training, and, the next day I read the book because I took so much out of that. And it was in Warwick, Rhode Island, and there was hundreds of us in there. Amazing, right? The pandemic just started.
Yeah.
And where did it start? It started in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, in this area. And here we are, hundreds of us all in a room, and thankfully, nobody got sick, but
Shaking hands, kissing cheeks, little do we
Yeah.
know, right?
oh yeah.
Right?
Oh my God. I haven't seen you since Family Reunion, which was 6 weeks prior, and down in Dallas, Texas. Yeah. And then talking about, it's going to be in Vegas next year. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, and so I left there, and just here's a quick story for all of you. I was going down. So March 13th, I was doing a MAPS training with my coach, with Gary Keller, down in Austin, Texas. There was about 100 of us going there, and I was heading down there, and I got the call around 11 o'clock that morning from my MAPS coach, and so he said, "Hey, Jameson." I said, "Hey, Tim, how's it going?" And he goes, "You haven't got on a plane yet, have you? You're not in Austin yet." I said, "No." I said, "My plane's leaving, at like 2:15. I'm heading to Logan Airport right now." I said, "I'm literally walking out my door." He said, "Yep." He goes, "Everything is shut down. We canceled it all."
Yeah.
I was extremely disappointed because I love being in a room with Gary Keller. Like it's just, there's something about it, especially if it's, if you ever have the chance, if you haven't been down there, is going to Keller Williams International in Austin, Texas, and being in that training room and having Gary Keller come on in, and he's all mic'd up and he's got the cameras on him, because every time he's coaching and he's teaching, they're tracking it, because there's a lot of ahas that come out of those things. And I was looking forward to it. I like to say it's kind of like, for people that love Apple, it's kind of like being in a room with Steve Jobs back in the day.
And he uses the translucent overhead with the wipe away marker, like you're in math class in the 4th grade. It's
Yep.
phenomenal. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And just what comes out of those masterminds, it's amazing. It's some things you just can't talk about and put it into words, I think. So if you do have a chance, any of you, and if you have that chance to sit down with Gary Keller, whether it's a one-on-one, if it's a one-on-one, never hesitate. But even if it's in a small setting, don't hesitate either.
Yeah.
Because what you get out of it is tremendous. So I'm still looking forward to that. I talk to my coach all the time and say, when are we doing that? I want to get down there and I want to be in that room. But yeah, so key is listen, is building the future, right? So we kind of went for the flow of money, building the future. And so, we're going to spend the next couple of minutes, the activity is like planning your future. Okay. So the activity, we're complete, where we're going to determine how you'll achieve your profit goal. Okay. And working backwards, back into it from profit to determine what your activities and your budget is. Okay. So this activity, what we're going to do is we want to calculate. Okay. So, we want to calculate everything. So make sure you either have your calculator on your phone ready, or you have, one of those old big calculators where, on the side of you. Okay. So
I think Matty Costa just held up an abacus. Were there beads on that, or is that an actual calculator? What's happening? Oh,
Move
okay.
it,
Sorry.
move it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's 9 times 3, it's
Yeah.
27.
Yeah. The new math. How does Jerry feel about Thursday?
Yeah. So, all right. So what we're gonna do is, okay, you're gonna turn to, I believe it's page 10, okay, in your book, okay, and we're gonna plan for your future. My plan is going to be $100,000. I want to profit. Okay, net profit goal is 100,000, 6 figures, right? Oh my God, that sounds cool, right? 6 figures. I want 6 figures in my bank at the end of the year. Okay, so I'm going to put down $100,000. Now you can use what I'm doing, have it, right? Put this down so you can see it. And then on the right-hand side of it, put your goal down. So whether it's 50,000, whether it's 100, whether it's 500,000, put it down on the side of the box. So mine is 100,000.
We'll invite you to write down a number that makes you a little uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Because if you're coming from corporate America and you're thinking, well, at Liberty Mutual, I made 60. Don't forget that number is a false flag. That $60,000 was the number you agreed to sitting with your future supervisor before everything happened. 60K was what they said they were going to hand to you, but it had to go through the rinsing machine of your medical benefits, your 401k, your taxes, right? The check you get is after all of that, right? So you don't, over the course of the year, you're earning 60, but you're not actually profitable for 60K. So please understand that we're talking about Jameson's making the point of what do you want in the bank? And I can tell you right now, throughout New England, it varies a little bit, but throughout New England, and Jameson can back me up, $100,000, 6 figures, profit in the bank after all of your financial conversations and commitments is not crazy talk. It's not crazy talk. If you are here and you are serious about this, $100,000 is not crazy talk.
And this is why we use this number, because it's achievable. We don't want to make you do the pie in the sky and then say, oh, well, yeah, Jameson just kind of threw me a lot of BS.
Right. And Jameson, everybody always says, like, this book seems so overwhelming. Why, we're using $1 million model.
Yep.
Gary has us using $1 million model because most of our conversations can fit inside of this. The math is tried and true. Your conversation invariably will fit inside of this because when we talk about $1 million net, it's 2.4 brought in. Right. But then we're getting down to $1 million and we're talking about more. It's not just you and your cat and a cup of coffee to do 2.4. There's more people involved than that. Right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, my OP last year, I mean, his GCI, he broke the $1 million.
Mm.
Now his goal is to net that $1 million.
Yeah.
And then after that, because he contributes a lot to his community, is at some point to give $1 million.
It's awesome.
Right. So planning for your future, right? $100,000. Okay. I'm using that. You use your number on the side of it. But I want you to put that number down so you can have a base to follow later on. Okay. So now you're going to take that 100,000. Okay. And you're going to calculate the gross profit goal that you need to make to account for your tax liability on your net profit. So what we like to recommend, anticipating a 40% tax liability. Okay, so to calculate that gross profit goal, we would divide your net profit goal by 60%. Okay, now 40% seems a lot for your tax liability. And what I would like you to do is you're going to talk to your CPA, but this is going to change over time too, of what your tax liability is. But let's use 40%, because even if it's not 40%, and let's say at the end of the year, you paid 28%. Well, what did you just get? What did you just bring back, right? If you took that money and you put it in your money market that I talked about earlier in that separate account, let's say you made a couple of bucks off of it, but you only paid 28%, right, for your tax liability. Well, now you just got a 12% return on your taxes. Whoa.
Or to Jameson, to your earlier point, I could leave that 12 grand in there and have a drawer and a safety net for myself.
Yes, and let
Right.
it grow.
Right.
And now you're not chasing the dollar and you don't have money breath all the time.
And to Jameson's point too, if you do that 40, and when we use the CGI tool, Gary throws a 40 there. And obviously if you are a few years in the business and you know your number is different than that, then by all means use the number that your CPA has instructed you to use. 40%, I'd rather have you be wrong in the right direction. I'd rather have you have meat on the bone at the end of the year and be like, oh, there's an extra 12 grand, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why, I said earlier too, is when I sit down with my accountant, the number that my accountant throws to me, he knows he's never worried about that number that he's throwing at me because he knows I have it set aside. And then some.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, honestly, depending on your market center average, we ended our year last year at 463 here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Our average GCI was 9,125. In the last month we just closed out, we're averaging now 10,041. So think about that one more deal ish, depending on your market center, depending on your averages. And we're talking about a market center average, not what you might be experiencing, but one more deal could be that, covering those taxes for you. And that's why we start with profit first.
Yep. So what we're going to do, right? You take that 100,000, you're going to divide that net profit by the 60%. And then that number is $166,666. I don't like this, a lot of those sixes, but it's there.
Every time I see this slide, I'm like, really? These are the numbers that they gave us?
Well, because you do
You
it
start
off
talking
the
about taxes
100,000.
and 666 shows up,
Right,
right? There's a
Aaron,
correlation
right? You do
there.
it off of,
Yeah.
I went to University of Mass, Dartmouth, and everything was in sixes. The steps going up were in sixes. And if you looked out the window, there were actually benches that were designed as sixes. Very freaky.
Yeah.
But I digress on that. But yeah, no, every time I look at this too, I go, oh, geez, that 666 is there. But yeah, so now what we're going to do is you're going to divide your gross profit, right, by the 40%.
Now, is this number basically before the market center and the royalty fees are paid?
So this is coming off of your gross commission income, right? So you're going to calculate your gross commission income, right? The formula to calculate it is you're going to take that gross profit goal and you're going to divide it by the 40% or times it by 0.40. Does that make sense to you?
So for clarity around that, guys, your GCI, your gross commission income, is the check you're leaving the closing table with that you're walking into your MCA with. So we're going to get to a big fat number that's going to be the totality of all the checks you need to deliver over the next 12 months.
Well, remember we talked about it was 9,000, right? That
Sure.
9,000 is your gross commission income in the exercise that we did prior. So does anybody know why we calculate the GCI by dividing gross profit by 40%?
Hey, James, Jameson, the way I'm looking at that is that you're saying we have to make 417,000 to net 100.
Yep.
Wow.
Because what we're doing is, okay, right? We're going to use the MREA budget model, okay? And MREA budget suggests that we use 40%, right? So if we stick with the operating expenses, okay, budget that is equal to the 30% or lower, okay, of our GCI, then we can anticipate a cost of sale of 30% of our GCI. So we can expect a 40% profit off of that. So based on, right, I told you guys, right, go to page 157, write that down in your MREA. If you haven't read the MREA yet, right, page 157 kind of breaks down your expense detail and your cost of sales. So now we got to back into this. We talked about how many homes do we need to sell to achieve that GCI, right? So we're using the example of, right, 7.5 thousand, right? So you're going to divide the GCI by your average commission. So we're using a commission of 7,500.
Where did that 7,500 come from?
It's just a number that we've created. It's based on average sales that we see in the market.
Okay.
But
So
you, as you're in your business, you will know that number. And how you know that number? So every year you're going to go into your multi-year trend report in your mykw.kw.com, and you click on the reports, and you go to associate in your reports, and then you go to multi-year trend. You'll then be able to learn your numbers better. Because what do we do here at Keller Williams? We track our numbers all the time. We know our numbers. So that number can change. It's gonna be different for everybody when you're in the business. And the longer you're in the business, the better you'll understand what that number is.
So I have to ask the market center where that number is coming from?
So right now, you're going to use an average of 7.5 thousand, or you can sit down with your market center and find out what the average is in your market center.
Okay.
And use that. So like my market center is a little bit lower than that, you know, so I believe it's somewhere around like 6.7 or something. So 6,700 or 6,800 for the average commission. Because our market share, our sales is a little bit lower than everywhere else. So it takes us more units to sell to get to the same number.
Yep.
So like, for instance, like if I look at Massachusetts and I look at all of our numbers, we're like probably in the volume sold, I want to say we're in the top 30, but when I break it down into units, I think last year, we were 14th. We were 14th last year in units sold as a market center. And what was crazy is when you look at the top 15 units sold in Massachusetts, I believe it was either 11 or 10 were Keller Williams in the top 15.
Woohoo.
This is my not shocked face. So just off the top of my head, for Aaron and I and our agents at 463, just knowing that our our average GCI in closing out last month. So running average is 10,041. I can look at that 416 for this example and know that I need to help 41 families move.
Yep.
Right. Just off the top of my head.
So, and that's where the number changes. It will fluctuate for every market center and every person, in the business.
Sure.
Because you'll get to know your number. Because some people, might be selling just multifamilies or might be selling, ranches or small houses. Some will be selling more of a higher end. Well, some will be selling luxury. So those numbers will fluctuate. And that's where, once again, when you know your numbers and you understand your numbers, and that's why we're here and we're doing this, so you can understand, to then figure out what that is. And what are we doing, right? We're backing into it again. We're trying to figure out what that number is of sales to then get to the number that you want to get to net your profit.
Yeah, I think I got it. I really do.
Well, and the blessing of that too, though, if you think about it this way, guys, is Gary then when you do your CGI tool, Gary has a ratio of what is your list to buy ratio, and he's got it preset at 50, right? And the reason it's preset at 50 is he's reminding us that we're going to be healthiest if we have no less than 50% listings sold. So if I'm looking at 41 for our market center, 463, Gary's obviously going to cut that bicycle in half and probably say 21 of them should be listing based. So now my true focus is, how do I help 21 families sell their home? Because what am I going to do when I have an active listing on the marketplace? Will I run into some unrepresented buyers? This is where you say yes, right? So I'm not really focused on 40 transactions anymore. I'm focused on the half that will matter, which are help 21 families list their home. That's going to bring me into the opportunity to find the other half of my business. And that's your one thing. Who do I know? Who do I know that's going to list their home? Not that we're not looking to help investors and buyers, but they are going to be the collateral awesomeness of me getting to the next kitchen table to get my next listing, right?
So the next piece is your anticipated cost of sale. And we've talked about this, right? Your cost of sale is your royalty and your company dollar. And maybe a referral fee that you're paying on out for, certain things, but let's forget about that and let's worry about just a royalty and company dollar. So here I'm using $23,000. Then the next piece is we're going to calculate your operating expenses budget based on the MREA, what it recommends, that we reserve 30% of our GCI to cover operating expenses. So therefore, right, it's 124,909. Yes, Emma.
I'm so sorry. I thought the gross commission income divided by 40% is what calculated the royalty and the market center costs. I'm sorry.
Say that again. I apologize. I'm trying to follow you.
So you see how we got the 100,000 net profit, and we divided that by 60% to account for taxes, right?
The gross profit goal, right? Divide the net by profit by 60%.
And then to get to the gross commission income, which is whatever check that comes in before paying the market center and before paying the royalty, we divided that by 40%. Did I get that right or no?
Yep.
Okay, so isn't that 40% accounting for the royalty and the cap cost? So why are we doing it again? I'm just confused on that part.
So, because what you're doing is you're taking a portion of that, okay, profit, and you're looking at what the expenses are. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're looking at your gross. So you're dividing that gross profit by the 40%, and you're taking that number though, right? And a portion of that is then going into your operating expenses, which is 30%. So there's a little bit of a duplication there,
Okay.
but you're looking at to see what your operating expenses. So if you look, right, and you kind of go to that page 157, right, you'll see like what your operating expenses percentage wise, like it literally breaks it down, like salaries 11%, lead generation 10%, you know, of what you should be paying in your operating expenses.
So that's basically the 124 and the 23 is what's coming out of the 416 to get to the 166. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you look at,
Hi, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I'm confused where you got the 23,000 from for the royalty.
Yep. So the 23 is, I'm just using that number as if there was a company dollar of 20,000
Mhm.
and a
Then the
royalty of
3,000.
3,000.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So what I want you to do is I want you to play with this number a little bit, right? And stop figuring out what your goal is. And then how many homes do you need to sell? And if you haven't sold anything yet, use that as the example of 7.5 thousand, you know, 7,500. Okay, as just an example of how to get there.
Can you clarify the operating expenses budget? That seems awfully high to me, but I must be missing something.
So if you take, right, say the 56, right, home sales, okay, times that by the 7,500, okay, you get 420,000 actually. Okay, so it's 56 houses. So it's just using the average, right? So, but it's, you know, so now what you're doing is you're taking 30%. Hold on here. You're taking 30% of that 416, and that is going to be your operating expenses. What is in your operating expenses? So let's kind of go through it, right? I'm going to pull my whiteboard.
Jameson, I'm just going to jump in real quick. I think some of the confusion for some of our growing agents is they don't have, Gary has the 30-30-40 in place as guardrails for our mega agents, right? So when we get to that million, that 2.4 that we'll be doing to get to the $1 million conversation, holding to 30 will be a challenge. That's where we want to lead with revenue and make sure we're holding our expenses accountable. If you're just getting started, and Jameson's going to obviously go to the whiteboard, Coach has got the whiteboard out. I'm very excited about this. I want you to do your, there's a seal here and a seal here. Anyway, what you guys need to understand right now is when we're talking about our business expenses right now, this might be for a growing agent, tires, oil, gas, and lattes, right? But we're not talking about HBO and pizza, right? That's your personal stuff, right? So business expenses are your, right now, your dues divided by 12. And Jameson's going to talk about that. But don't forget this MREA conversation that we're having right now. Gary's really putting guardrails out for when our budgets grow. Because when you hear mega agents talk about holding to the 30-30-40, they find it difficult because we start to spend our money to create value for our teammates when we need to lead with revenue. So please understand, if you're growing your business, this might just be lattes and oil changes right now.
Yeah.
And it will expand to more.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, but what you want to do right at the beginning is you really want to separate that 30% so you can see it every single time now.
Yeah.
Right. And you want to track on how much money you spent on that transaction and break it down.
So what you're saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I'm understanding is that 30%, as Tim says, it's gonna be just small when we start, but as we hire admins, as we hire marketing specialists and all that stuff, that number will grow to pay these people. Did I get that right?
Yes. And what you don't want to ever do is you don't ever want to go over that number. So that's why if you stop at the beginning doing this right from the start, it's easier to grow, because what you're going to do is you're going to take that 30%, you're going to separate it. And it's a great example in Profit First, right? So once again, definitely read the book, right? You separate it into 5 accounts he talks about, right? But what you do is you take that operating expense account, that 30%, and you then pay your expenses down. Now, every quarter or every every quarter or every 6 months or every month, however you want to do it, you then look at, okay, what my expenses were. I would never advise you to do it every month. I would say at least minimum the quarter though, right? Is now you can then take out what's in that expense account and have a dividend for your business as additional profit, because you didn't expend that money. But if you want to, you can then reinvest into your business. Like I mentioned before, that 70-30, right? That 30% that you're contributing to the market center. So when my agents cap, every time they cap, whether it's the first time they're capping or the 4th time they're capping or whatever it is, when they cap, I hold the check and I wait for them and I sit down with them and we talk about how they're now reinvesting that 30% that they were typically contributing to the market center back into their business to grow even more. Because it's additional revenue that you're bringing in now. So that number starts tweaking a little bit. So instead of 7,500, maybe it's 10,000 per commission. So what are you doing? Are you doing billboards? Are you hiring an assistant? Are you doing an inside sales agent? I mean, one of my agents, did at the grocery store. She's on every other cart. So when you're shopping, you see her face. The Olive Real Estate Group. Now it's the Olive Group, by the way. I got to change it to let everybody. So the Olive Group, but her last name is Olivera. So she's got a little martini glass with an olive, and it's cute. It's a great little, it's her marketing brand. But every other shopping cart is her face and her brand, because she took some of that money and reinvested it. So like as Tim was saying, okay, so, right, your first expenses, okay, you're going to have MLS, okay? So your MLS dues, right? Your realtor dues, okay? Your car, okay? Some promo, some marketing materials. And I apologize if you can't really see that well. I got to create the studio that, Nate's created over there in New Hampshire. But, right, some promo materials. Like this right here, okay, is your base. And you might throw in some miscellaneous stuff in there. A little bit here or there. And in your promo, okay, this is, your, who you are, kind of you're just listed, you're under agreement, right? You just sold, and, your gifts that you're giving, to your clients.
Can you repeat the promo again?
So your promo, right, is always like who you are, just listed, under agreement, just sold, and your gifts that you're giving for a closing gift.
I'm
For
sorry,
your bids.
I'm a little, Jameson. Promotions, when you go to that list, are those things that you're saying are expenses that you got to account for?
Yes, that you should be accounting for.
So
Every
what is just
transaction.
sold, what's a just sold expense?
You're just sold. So like your cards that you're going to send out to the neighborhood, right? 10 to the left, 10 to the right, 20
Gotcha.
across.
Gotcha.
You know, maybe you want to boost an ad, you know, on your campaigns to then leverage it, leverage your listing for what? More leads. Right? So you should be, every lead that you have, every listing, you should be leveraging it, and you should be getting 2 warm or hot leads off of it. Minimum. Right? So and this is where this kind of, a lot of people, because how the market is right now, they're not doing the just listed, they're not doing the under agreement, they're not doing the just sold, and then they're fighting to then get the next lead. They're going off model. They're going off script. Because listen, there's a shift that's going to happen. It will happen. You know, the days of my 5-year-old putting a house on the MLS and being sold in 2 days and having 18 offers on it, it's going to shift.
They're doing a great job though.
She's doing it. She's doing a real good job.
Well, and just so people understand too, the reason your company dollar and your international royalty, right? Your market center money and your Gary money are considered a cost of sale, as those are only charged to you when you close a deal. So depending on your relationship, if your team has a transaction coordinator that's salaried, that would be an expense, and their bonus structure might be tied to a cost of sale. If you have a transaction coordinator that you're using that you only utilize on your, like they're a market center transaction coordinator or a private transaction coordinator, and they just run the deal for you and they only get paid when the deal closes, that's not an expense, it's a cost of sale. That's why there's a delineation between expenses and cost of sale.
But then, yeah, absolutely, Tim, right? So this is when you're getting started, right? So you got your MLS, you got your realtor dues, your car, because you got to get places, right? And then some basic kind of materials, right? It's not a big expense at first. It's not that 30% expense. But as you grow, right, you're going to have, right, salaries. Okay, like Tim was just saying, you might have transaction coordinator, you might have an admin, you might have a virtual admin. Okay, right? Whoops. Your lead gen. How much are you spending on your lead gen? Are you buying lists? Are you paying somebody? An inside sales agent? Or, you know what's funny is, so people, I sat down with one of my agents and she uses OpCity a lot. So realtor.com. She pays 35% every transaction. She never realized that should be it's in the cost of sales. And it's a part of the lead gen expense. She's paying that. You know,
if you're really good at grabbing your phone and making your phone calls, your cost of sale should be your Verizon bill and Colgate. Like,
yes.
Make your mouth fresh, pick up the phone to fresh mouth, talk to humans, right? Because again, getting back to that 30, 30, 40, right? Those 230 categories, Gary, again, is putting those numbers there as financial guardrails. If you're sitting there in your freshman year thinking, I need to be spending 30%. No, if you can keep it at 28% for the rest of your career, Godspeed, you'll be on stage with Gary. You will be a celebrate. You'll be a, what do we call you? Celebrities with a K. You will be a celebrity in this company. I mean, the 30% is a guardrail. So don't try to run like, oh, I got to fill this void and spend 30%. We want you to not have to get to that point if you can be really savvy with your expenses. right?
So just from like a business point of view, it's okay if we start with that number as 10% and then with time we grow it to 30%.
It's whatever it's going to be right now. Whatever you're doing for expenses as an agent right
Okay.
now is the number that falls inside of the silo of 30%. And I trust as all of you grow your businesses, and Jameson knows this because he's a team leader and he deals with this conversation 30 times a day before breakfast. Without fail, most agents are probably running that 35, not enough, right?
Yep.
Everybody's wondering why their profitability is not at 40% because your other two cows are too fat, right? So we always want to be examining the 15th protocol. When it gets to the 15th of the month, if you're in business with Opcity, are they worth your while? Now, people would argue, well, they are because I don't pay them all the time. I only pay them when I close. So it's a cost of sale, not an expense. But if you're sending money to something.com, that company with a Z, right? And I have to be nice about them now because they're a brokerage. God help me. So if you're sending money to something.com, that's an expense. I'm sending them a check. They're sending me at bats, and I'm either choosing to take those at bats or not, right?
Yeah, so I mean, and Tim kind of, he talked about it a few times. So there's an exercise, the 30, 30, 40, that I can literally break this all down. I'm just taking a very small little piece of this and just showing you, because you kind of asked, like, really, what's the 30%, right? Like, what is that? Like, why am I doing 30%? I just started. How am I spending 30% on things? But like I said, is if you pull it out of your account and you put it there for the time being as a placeholder and start when you are starting up, it's a lot easier to then, as you grow, make sure that this number should never really go above the 30%. You should always try to keep that as low as possible. It's business 101. Keep your expenses as low as possible. What does Keller Williams Market Centers do? We're very lean in how we do things in our expenses. But we create great value. That's why I think, I come from the nonprofit world. Rub 2 pennies, get $1. Keller Williams, rub 2 pennies, get $100.
Yeah.
Right? So using the same principles, and so, but if you follow the MREA, you like the salaries, lead gen, rent, tech that you're paying for. Now, a lot of tech, really? Like, what did we do recently? Right? We got Command. A lot of this, some of this is gone now. We're not spending a lot of money on tech because we have it there for you. Your phone, right? Supplies, education. You should be setting aside money every single transaction, okay, for your education. To go to Bold, to go to family reunion, go to mega camp, go to the masterminds, whether it's the regional masterminds, spring masterminds.
When you mentioned, Jameson, FSO.
FSO.
That is not just for leadership. If you have an opportunity to get yourself to the headquarters for FSO, Franchise Systems Orientation, I'd argue, and I think Aaron might agree with me, maybe Jameson too, I think it's the best training you've never been to yet.
Oh my God.
It's phenomenal.
So really quick, I went to FSO when I was with another company, wasn't even signed on. And I'm sitting there and they hand me the book and I have it, around the corner around my desk, but they hand me the book, right? So it was bigger than this. Okay. And I said to myself, this is the playbook. Why is Keller Williams handing me the playbook? Hey, we come from New England, everybody, right? What team does not talk at all? What coach does not say a word about anything, right? Bill Belichick, the Patriots. Well, we're on to Cincinnati.
We're on to profit share. Yeah.
We're on to profit share. And what was amazing was it was everything I learned so much about Keller Williams in a 3-day period. And I sat down with the regional director at the time, Carl, okay, and it was another gentleman, and I'm drawing a blank. Oh my God, he's got the Southern Dick Dillingsworth, right? And we sat down, and I said, hey, you know, we come from New England. We're not even signed on here as a brokerage to be Keller Williams. Like, you're giving us the book? He said, well, yeah, we give the book out to everybody. It's already there.
Yeah.
It's the best seller.
It's on Amazon. It's not a secret.
It's the best seller, people.
Yeah.
It's this right here. And you know what I picked up at the Austin airport, because it's everywhere in the Austin airport, is one of these books.
The
To
one thing's
start
everywhere
reading.
too, right? Yeah.
So, but you learn so much, not only about the market center and the company, but it all relates to you as an agent. So everything we're doing as a market center, you're doing it as an agent. We're just doing it at a larger scale. You know, so it's, you know, you're a single agent first. Then once you grow, then you're going to have, you know, once you kind of break that 12 to 15 million dollars in sales per year, you're going to need help. It's okay. You're going to need help. And you are not the only person that your clients want to talk to. It's okay to have assistants. It's like going to the doctors. The other day I went to the doctor. My doctor is Dr. Watson, right? Truly, his name is Dr. Watson. You know, and
You pulled a muscle getting out of the hot tub. I can't
right,
wait to hear the story.
pull the muscle, right, getting out of the hot tub. But when I go there, right, I see the girl at the counter. Okay, she checks me in. I pay my, you know, my $30 copay, whatever. Then who calls me in? But the nurse. Now the nurse, she weighs me, she takes my blood pressure, she does all these questions, and then who comes in? But then Dr. Watson. Then I leave. Dr. Watson brings me on over to the checkout table, and now there's another person there. What is that? That is systems. Now, do I say that I go see Trisha, Holly, Dr. Watson, and Meredith? No, I go see Dr. Watson.
Right.
But Dr. Watson has created a system that I'm comfortable having conversations with people at certain times during my transaction of being at the doctor's. And so that's what will happen is you'll grow. You'll grow to then have that assistant. Then you'll have a team, you know, and as you grow, more of this is going to happen for you and numbers are going to grow. So we kind of, you know, went off a little bit off road here with everything. But that's where your 30% of operating expenses comes from.
Jameson, can I ask you, after you went to FSO, did you join shortly thereafter?
We joined on the second evening.
That's incredible. Yeah, we have a mega agent in Wolfboro, Adam Dow, and day one was if I sign, and day two was where do I sign, right? It's an 85% conversion rate. If you have a veteran agent at another brokerage, let your team leader know that you have somebody that needs to go to FSO, and the conversion rate is through the roof. And Jameson makes a great point about this too, right? The Patriots could drop their playbook in Pittsburgh and the Steelers might pick it up and start reading. And they'll be like, there's a lot here. Let's just grab lunch, right? Like Gary wrote a book that millions have bought, thousands have read, and dozens have executed. Not many people will actually take the strategy and execute. And that's our job, right? How do we create this massive experience for our clients is by taking this system and model and putting it into motion. When the strategy gets married to the execution, that's where you're going to win. That's where your clients will win. And very few people do it.
So, and it's funny too is everybody. So we have a brokerage over here, that, listen, always kind of competing with and stuff like that. And I saw the broker one time, he took a picture and he took a selfie or whatever. He was in his bedroom or whatever. And on his
boy.
nightstand was this right here.
Of course it was.
And so I said, I had to, because it's just me and it's my nature.
Poke the bear. Yeah.
I said, welcome to Keller Williams.
Yeah.
I said, if you want to attend any of our trainings, you're more than welcome to, and learn more about the systems and models that we do on a daily basis. I had to, but because he was learning, he was like, wait a minute. And you know what though? That was very good, because what was he doing? Competition now is in his area. He needed to know what that competition is doing.
Yeah.
And a very smart individual, smart person. Like, we do that all the time. We do what's called guerrilla warfare. And we look at other brokerages and what they're doing and how they're doing it in the systems and models. So what I want you to do is turn to page 11. Okay. And these are best practices.
Jameson?
Yes, go ahead.
It's Erin. I'm sorry. It is 11:28.
Yep.
And I'm getting secret messages for a break.
Oh my
So-
goodness. I apologize. You know what? I don't take breaks.
It's a Jameson
I-
Sousa
I-
production.
I-
You're supposed to
that
bring a
about
pickle
you.
jar. Bring your
You just
pickle
keep
jar.
rolling. That's okay.
Yeah. How about this, Erin? Yes, very good, right? So, and we still got a lot to cover. Let's take a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Okay, and answer your text messages, make your calls, do whatever you need to do. And so it is 11:28. Let's come back at 11:33, and let's take a breather, and we can go from there, because I'll tell you, everybody, I have, let's see,
We got about
36
four more hours.
Yep, I got 4 more hours and I got 36 text messages to answer. So, and as you can see, I love teaching and I love talking about these things. So thank you, Erin, for pointing that out.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys need to
11:34. It's 11:29, 11:34.
go do what you need to do, we'll see you in a few.
All right, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry, Jameson. I've listened to classes before, and I have to say, you are a good speaker. You're very clear. You pause. Your pauses have time for everything to come into my head, and I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You're a good speaker.
I think we might have a few sprained bladders. They might need Dr. Watson's number.
Yes. Actually, what we can do is we'll kind of do best practices, and then the last piece of this always is lead gen. So we'll leave it to everyone for lead gen after. Tim, I love your backdrop, by the way, too.
That's a real wall.
Yeah, I figured, yeah.
No, it is. It's like everybody always
Yeah,
thinks
yeah,
it's like
yeah, I
fake, but
figured
it's
that.
actually, yeah, the artwork is from a company called Iconic with a K.
Okay.
And they're obviously they're built to look like real books, obviously. And just
Yeah.
yeah, I fell in love with that. And
Because like if you see, so this is my wall.
yeah, I love all that
Like,
stuff.
I
That's
have,
great.
you know what I mean? The books
Yep.
on the wall.
Yep.
In shadow box.
Break glass in case of need, in case of emergency.
Yeah. Oh, I should have that on there, right?
Yeah,
I like that.
In case you need a red book, they're right behind the glass.
Yeah, one of them dropped the other day on me. So really I have 6 and which one dropped? It was millionaire real estate investor.
Mm.
I said it's a sign I need to invest in more. So I'm trying to invest over in North Conway.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
Yep. And I can't, I'm just, oh my God, it's just going too fast and just the bids that are coming in are just crazy.
Yeah.
But I find that it's still a great investment, even for the money that is going over.
Yep.
It's still a great investment up there. I love it. I mean, my family, we had a condo on Attitash Mountain for years, and I loved it. And then we sold it, and now I want back. And like I said, the last training is I love just the downtown of North Conway and Mount Cranmore.
Yep.
And the new condos on over there. So yeah. So
Well, Bill Barbin's here to help. I'll speak up for him.
Yeah.
One of our greats from North Conway.
Jameson, are you working with a Keller Williams agent?
I am. Yes, Bill. I love it. I love it. I am. Chris Dunn. I'm working with Chris Dunn.
Do you have a buyer agency contract with Chris by any chance?
Bill, come on now. Come on now.
He's in our market center, buddy.
One of our people, buddy.
I was just asking the question.
He's just confirming.
No.
Just confirming.
Listen,
Does Chris know how to close or not? That's all I
yeah,
want.
No, I do. But listen, if you ever want to team up with him, I will definitely take care of both of you. If you can get me what I want, and he knows I only want one thing. I want Mount Cranmore. I want the new ones, and I'm ready. So
maybe he and I should team up. It would be like Dumb and Dumber.
Hey, listen, right? You can be like the twins. You can be like Schwarzenegger and DeVito kind of too.
Oh,
thanks. I get a feeling for where I fit in on that.
Oh, jeez.
The market center nepotism is rich in this conversation.
Yeah.
Bill, you're gonna have to call the seller's agent and see if they can support a 5% commission on the buyer's end.
That's good advice, Ryan.
Yeah, just say, hey, listen, this is for one of my great coaches, from Southern Massachusetts, and I need to help him out. And so so you're gonna have to compensate me a little extra on this one.
I'll be sure to let Chris know though when I get the inside scoop on one, which I'm sure to. I'll let him know.
Yeah, listen.
He can reach out to you because that'd be great.
I'm all for it. Teamwork. We do this as teams, right? So we try to help each other out. So we have just a few other things to finish up, and I just want to go through it. And then we can actually end a little bit early, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of it back on all of you, because the last part of this class today is lead gen. And I know if I put it back on you, you're going to put it in the Facebook page of how many people that you contacted today. But I want to kind of go over some best practices, right? So if you go to your page 11 in your guide, you'll see a short checklist, okay? And in that checklist, okay, it's deadline, who, and task. So what I'd like you to do, and we're going to do this as a little bit of a group, is, right, the first task, okay, is gain clarity on your big life hopes and dreams. Okay, so who is going to do that for you? Ooh, I know this is like a trick question here.
We have to do it.
Yeah, right. And I want you to give yourself a deadline. Give yourself a deadline on how you're going to gain clarity on your big life hopes and dreams. Now, also, is there somebody else that can help you with that? Because I said earlier, and I've said it a lot, and you'll hear all of us say this, right? You're not on an island. We're here to help you. So who can help you with that as well?
Your team leader?
Your team leader, assistant team leader,
A coach?
your coach, right? The productivity coach in your market center. Right. So the next one is set your personal and business budgets. So who and deadline. Who can help you with that? Who should it be?
Maybe myself and an accountant.
Right? Yeah, yourself, maybe your family too, right? Your personal, right? So all of you should have done a 135 and a 411. And in there, right, your personal goals, your business goals are in there. And even, right, even with your business goals, you should be talking to your significant others or your kids, grandkids, whoever it may be, and having that discussion.
Yeah, so they can support you, right, Jameson? If Wednesday
Absolutely.
night's going to be the night that you're like, you know what, I'm going to be calling the West Coast for referrals on Wednesday nights, and that's going to be a late day for me, and just making sure that your loved ones understand why you're doing it, right?
Listen, I mean, so, you know, when I took this position as a team leader, before I took it, I had a conversation with my wife about it and how it was going to be, how I was going to be getting those calls at 6 a.m. Oh my God, my hair's on fire. This person hasn't answered me. I put an offer in last night at 9 o'clock. I haven't got a response. What should I do? Should I knock on their door? You know, or even, you know, this weekend, I had one of my agents. He actually came down with COVID, tested positive. He had 17 appointments on Saturday and Sunday. So as a leadership team, we broke out and we helped him with those appointments. I was out there personally on Sunday showing houses for my agent. Because that's
Yeah.
what we do.
I don't know if a lot of TLs would do that out here though.
But listen, you know what? The TL will help you though, and
They definitely do. Yeah,
and
they
put you in the
definitely
right
do.
direction. Absolutely. You know, I'm familiar with all the TLs in the region, and whether they're going to do it themselves or they put you in touch with someone to help you, that's what will happen.
Yeah, they definitely give a good structured guidance. So
Yep.
shout out to the TLs.
So it was one of those things where, hey, I was free on Sunday, and I like doing that from time to time. I like going out there. And here's the thing. I used it to my advantage because I knew what houses. I asked, okay, show me all the houses. And what houses did I pick? Was agents that I wanted to have some conversations with.
Good. Yep.
You know, to help grow other agents' downlines. So that's where, you know, I used it to my advantage as well. So setting up your business entity, right? Who would that be?
Lawyer.
Yeah, lawyer, right? CPA. Some CPAs do it as well for you. Ooh, excuse me. Open additional bank accounts for taxes, expenses, and other savings. So who are you going to? Right? And this is, this is kind of different for everybody because everybody kind of uses a different bank. But there should be a business advisor at the bank to then be opening up those accounts.
Mhm.
And those are the accounts, right? The taxes and your operating expenses and your profit account. Those three minimum you should be having because those should be separated. And you can put these deadlines in, later on. But download and use the MREA chart of accounts. So I don't know if I said I was going to do it on the Facebook page, but Erin, is it possible? Can you download the MREA chart of accounts for me in the chat box?
Where is it in your?
It's in the MyKW.
Yeah, I can grab it. What's it?
I think if you just type in the chart, MREA chart of accounts, you'll see it's an Excel spreadsheet. If you can't find it, that's okay. I have it saved.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me 1 second.
I know sometimes it's not the easiest thing to find. So you want to purchase and download tax accounting software, or hire an accountant. Make sure you have an accountant. So it's not or hire an accountant. It's either like what I do is, listen, I have QuickBooks, right? I use QuickBooks. I used to use Excel spreadsheets until my accountant said, "You're driving me insane here, Jameson." He said, "You have way too many LLCs and you have it all on Excel spreadsheets. This is going to drive you insane too." I said, "Well, I spend like 3 days a month just doing the paperwork." He said, "Listen, throw it on QuickBooks. Pay the $63 I pay per month or whatever it is." And so I have that, and then I hand it on over to my accountant, and it works out wonderful now because I don't spend 3 days on it. I spend about 3 hours a month on it.
Is the chlorine for the hot tub, is that an expense or a cost of sale, Jameson? Everybody wants to know.
Well, see, so since I have an issue with my back, I use it as a write-off.
Of course.
As therapeutic.
Yeah.
So I have stenosis, so I have narrowing of the spine. So it's an expense for therapeutic. So that's how I get away with that. And if you hire a great accountant, your accountant will definitely figure out certain ways. I challenge my accountant on some things like that,
Yeah.
you know, and then sometimes he tells me, yeah, we're better off not doing this, Jameson. You know, but definitely have an accountant.
Yeah.
Set dates to calculate and pay your estimated taxes. So most people pay quarterly, right? You should be paying quarterly and figuring out what that quarterly is. Now, if this is your first year in business, you don't know what that is. But the following year, your accountant's going to give you what that quarterly payment is. Now, yep, go ahead.
Can we pay that commission just because we're starting up on each commission check that comes in? Take like 35% or 40%, just pay estimated taxes on them?
No, you don't want to do that.
Why not?
What you want to do is, right, you want to hold your money as long as possible, and your accountant will talk to you about this, okay? And everybody's different, okay? But like what I said is, you want to take that 40%, okay, and put it into an account, preferably like a money market account that you can pull from if need be, okay, or when you're ready to pay. And so you can then have your money make more money for you. Does that make sense?
Like an interest account?
Yep. The highest interest that you can find, that you can access it in your tax account. When you sit down, okay, with number 4 in opening additional bank accounts, one of them is for your taxes. Your tax account should be the highest yield of return, okay, and something that you can be drawing from if need be. So if you're paying quarterly, your taxes, because your accountant tells you that you should be paying quarterly, then that's when you can draw from it to pay quarterly. Now, sometimes, listen, some people will just pay at the end of the year during the tax time, a one-time payment, because they're letting that money make more money for themselves. So they might be investing it in something, in a quick return. But, you know, that's individual piece of what you should be having the conversation with your accountant on. Because sometimes that penalty is worth paying because you're making your money do more for you. Right? Why is it when the people say, oh, the rich always get richer? Well, because you know what? They're letting their money work for them. And the better you do that, the better you'll be as a business person. So,
Jameson, just for clarity's sake, would you be willing to do my taxes?
No, I wouldn't do your taxes.
And that's exactly why Jameson shouldn't do his. I'm just making the point, right? Like we talk about the internal monologues we have with ourselves, like we say things to ourselves all day long that we would never say to somebody else. If you're not willing to execute my taxes, you shouldn't be doing your own. So ask yourself, am I a great accountant? Am I a great salesperson if you've been to Bold? Am I a great accountant? If you're not a great accountant, you should go to H&R Croc. Yes, I just called them H&R Croc. Pay somebody else who knows what they're doing to find some loopholes for you. And we don't say loopholes to be disingenuous. We're saying there are things that you can be doing that you might not be doing because you don't know about it because you didn't go to school to do those things.
Yeah, there's certain expenses that you can write off. So your accountant is going to help you. So let's say, you know, you brought in $100,000, okay, of GCI. Well, you might not be spending $40,000 in taxes. You're not. I'm telling you right now, you will not. Because there's going to be expenses in there that's going to drive that number down to then your base is going to be a lot lower. So maybe it drives it down to, say, 50,000 that you truly made that your accountant then shows that you had expenses of 50,000.
So with that being said, what is the best way to track those expenses?
So,
And
yep. So, and that's where the chart of accounts comes into play. And for every transaction, you should be tracking what you're spending on that transaction. So right from the beginning, so, the receipts that, let's just say you go and you meet with your client and you bring a bagel and the coffee in the first sit down. Well, that's an expense for your business. Okay, now you just did a just listed, a postcard out to 100 people and you spend $56 doing it. Well, that $56 is an expense to that one transaction. And you just did an under agreement and you did a just sold, maybe a coming soon. And now let's say you get a gift for your client. Now a gift, you only can write off X amount of dollars. It's different in every state. So once again, talk to your accountant on that. But if you put your brand on it, now it's marketing and now it's a different number. So like we'll use Cutco, right? They're a vendor, they're a preferred vendor with us in the region. And Kenny Knives, right? I call him. So my team, we give a nice spreader and a bottle opener for a closing gift. And it has our brand on it as the Sousa Group at Keller Williams South Watuppa. And it has our phone number and our website. Because what we do is later on, I write that off as marketing because it has our branding on it. It's not a gift. It's marketing material. So it's a different number than the accountant uses that I can get reimbursed on because there's a cap in your gift compared to marketing materials. But this is where you sit down and you have a conversation with your accountant when you're setting up your business. And I'll tell you, probably majority of the market centers usually have an accountant come in at some point, never around this time. So don't expect it around this time.
Yeah.
It's
They're busy.
usually in the off season.
Yeah.
But for you to then, talk to you about the things that you should be tracking and you should be holding those receipts. And like, if you use QuickBooks, I literally can take a picture of the receipt and it gets sent right into QuickBooks. I'll tell you, Matt has an unbelievable program as well. Our, regional director, where they help and they track your business for a very low cost per month. So those little things, you just need to be knowing and tracking. And like, so like Tim said, I'm not going to go into those specific items because I'm not an accountant. It's like when I tell our agents when they're going out there to a for sale by owner, you ask them, what do they do for a living? And they'll say, oh, well, I'm a nurse, so I'm a teacher. So you're selling your own house? Because it's the biggest investment in one's life. 9 out of 10 people, it's the biggest investment. Don't you think you should have somebody that knows how to handle that and that is trained in knowing how to handle that biggest investment in your life to make sure that you're going to get the biggest return on your investment? I mean, I had an agent that talked to someone that was doing a for sale by owner this past weekend, And she said, oh my God, I got 3 calls on my house. And he said, wow. He said, well, that's good. He said, well, you know, our office, we just had an open house right down the street, and they had to shut it down because there was over 100 people out there. They had to call the police department to then take care of traffic because it was causing traffic jams. So what's the difference here? Because you had a person that knows how to handle that business and knows how to sell the biggest investment in their life compared to somebody that she was a correction officer. No disrespect to that person, very fine individual. But it's like, do you go to, you know, Joe Schmuckarelli to go do your taxes? That, guess what he does? You know, he owns a billiards club, but he'll do your taxes on, you know, TurboTax for you. Or do you go to a CPA that knows exactly all the tax laws and knows what you can and cannot write off? And we say loopholes, but it's just tax laws.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that's why this is the important piece with your business as well. We're going through, everything is important, right? But is making sure you have the right people doing the right things for you. You know, so you need to definitely hire that accountant. You need to have an attorney that you can call from time to time. And a lot of market centers are partnered up with attorneys that can help you. So you need to set those dates to calculate and pay your estimated taxes. And then you need to prepare for your future, right? So you need to prepare for your insurance, savings, and investments. So one great thing, right, is profit share. It's an investment. So talk to your team leaders and refer agents for them to call. Or, hey, if you have friends down in my area, call me up, text me and say, hey, I have somebody that wants to join Keller Williams, and get them in your downline. But also, right, you want to sit down with a financial advisor and have a conversation with them. Now, whether you sold 0 properties or 100 properties, it's never too late to have that sit down and start talking about your savings and your investments for the future and how much money you should be putting into those. Like we talked about the 30%, right, of your operating expenses. And right now, more than likely, you're not going to be coming even close to that 30%. So what's a good thing maybe to do right now? Maybe put some of that money into a Roth IRA or some sort of other investment, some mutual funds or whatever it may be, whatever is right for you. And once again, are you going to ask me to do that? No. Are you going to go to Tim? Are you going to go to Erin? No, because they're doing it, but it's what's good for them and their situation. Everyone's situation is different. You go to the professional and you sit down with that financial advisor. And think about it. When you start it now, imagine what will happen years from now if you continue on this wonderful journey.
Yeah, and from a financial standpoint, if your head is, that's a long road, and you know, I've missed out on an opportunity because you feel like it, you know, it's too late to get started. Listen to season 5 of Think Like a CEO with Gary and Jay, and you can hear Jay and Wendy create their financial greatness just by coming into contact with Gary and changing their thinking, and the fact that they've completely changed their financial outlook for the rest of their lives and their kids. Great podcast.
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable. Think like a CEO. So daily success habits. So we are almost to the end. Okay, and we kind of dove really deep. I want to kind of do a little recap and get your ahas on everything. What are some of the things that you took out of this? And some of those ahas.
A different prism to look through, working backwards towards what we need to do to accomplish our goals. Having our goals, something we talked about a long time ago, but working backwards and just breaking it down. How many homes, how many activities per week, how many people per day do we need to talk to? Just making it into bite-sized pieces that are actionable.
Yes, absolutely, right? What else?
I just played a little game with that, the $100,000 chart that you put up there. I just increased it by 60,000, and I was amazed at how the numbers changed all the way down. I mean, you go from 50 some houses to 80 some houses, just to reach that.
Yeah. But it shows you, right, of then what you need to do.
Right.
And that's where, like, the business planning clinic, definitely take that every year. I urge all my agents every single year, the beginning of October, to do a business planning clinic for the following year. Because what you do today affects you 30, 60, but mostly 90 days out. So you need to prepare then for January.
Yeah, Jameson, you make a great point. Most of your market centers are probably going to be doing those in September. Some of them start in September, only for the fact that if Jameson leaves class with a strategy that he can execute on by October 1st, those will be January 1st closings, right? All the activities in the fourth quarter are going to show up financially in the first quarter of the next year.
So what else? Any other ahas?
This definitely took me out of the mindset of real estate agent into business.
Yes, perfect.
Good. That's what I wanted to hear, because that's what today is all about.
It's intimidating though, but it's doable.
It is, right? It is. When you look at the top number, it is, right? And I'll be real with you. It's definitely intimidating. But then when you break it down, as we did, then it shows that, you know what, it is achievable.
Right.
And you can do it. Without a doubt, you can.
Yes.
The pressure you're feeling between your ears today is growing pains, right? It's a good problem to have, right? We're very happy at our market center, and I would argue most of the market centers in New England, Gary refers to New England as the golden triangle. Most of our market centers and most of our agents at our market centers are having growing pain conversations. How do I add talent? How do I keep my expenses and my cost of sales inside the guardrails of 30% because I'm growing, and I'm obviously going to leverage all that with physical talent, boots on the ground. When the expenses are adding up, it's because you're doing something right? And we're here to keep those guidelines in place for you. And if you have a really bad back, Jameson's got a hot tub at his house, so you'll be fine.
Yes.
You want to rest you want to stretch out your growing pains.
Our job, our role is, to make you comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Very good.
Right. And it's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable, because that means you're growing, and it's okay to fail as long as you're failing forward. What else? Any other ahas? How do you think your behavior is going to change now moving forward?
It's gonna move. Positive, forward.
Yeah. Right. You're going to be more purposeful, do you think?
Yeah.
More regimented.
Yeah. Right. And knowing your numbers. So what I'd like you to do, because what did we miss this morning?
Lead gen.
Right? Lead gen time, everybody.
How
We
dare
missed
you.
our lead gen. And I apologize for taking that away from you. I am so sorry. So what I want you to do As minimum, I want you to add 10 contacts, okay, to your command today. I want you to have 10 conversations today. Solid conversations, not with a voicemail. I want you to do 10 handwritten notes to people. If you have nobody to write it to, everybody has neighbors. Write them to your neighbors. It's spring, everybody, right? You want something to talk about? Spring is in the air. The market's hot, right? And I want you to preview at least 10 homes this week. And if you don't have any open houses to do, turn to your ALC, turn to your top producing agents in your market center, reach out to them and ask them if they need help in their open house. Because more than likely, they do. Because, you know, there's 3 listings for 3,000 people buying right now in your town. So they're going to need help at their open house.
Yeah.
Whether it's just having somebody sign in, but be there, right? Be around the everyday activity that is going on in real estate. Because the more you're around it, the better you'll be at it. Find a script person. Practice your scripts every single day. Even if it's somebody that you're calling first thing in the morning. And if I'm calling Tim, Tim knows if I'm calling at 8:15, we're doing some role playing for about 2 minutes. And I'm going to be like, hey, Tim, how you doing? It's Jameson here from Keller Williams. Do you have a moment to talk?
Absolutely.
And Tim's going to just go right into the role play.
Yep.
I love it.
You know, and then the next day, Tim's going to call me and say, hey, Jameson, how you doing? This is Tim from Keller Williams. You have a moment to talk?
Love it.
And then I'm going to go right into the role play. And then help each other. Kind of talk about the opportunities maybe you missed during that role play. Right? It's corrective criticism, right? We call it opportunities.
Yeah, Gary would say give the other person 3 objections and then the win and get off the phone, right?
Yep. Listen, 2 minutes, 5. I mean, most conversations when you're calling people, 2 to 4 minutes, you're on the phone with them. That's your role play. Just do that. Right? Because what I learned from my OP, you can't sign somebody over the phone. So get them to get the appointment, set the appointment. You know, and if you're having a conversation for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you know, it's just, you're going
You're not
way
helping
too
each
long.
other at that point.
No, you're going way too long. And you know what you need to practice on is your closing. That's all. And track it, right? Track your numbers, track what you're doing every day. Okay. So identify those objections, right? Speak in terms that people understand. I want to thank, you know, whoever said, you know, how I was teaching today, because I've learned a lot. When I first started teaching, listen, I'm from New England. I'm from south of Boston. Like I usually speak very fast and I have an accent. I don't pronounce my R's.
I hardly noticed. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know, I parked my car in Harvard Yard. And so what I've learned is, okay, I need to slow it down a little bit. I need to breathe a little bit. So just learn that, right? And you got to understand, the people selling their house, they only do it maybe once or a couple of times in their lifetime. You're doing it on a daily basis. So you might be going through something very quickly, but understand that's their first time seeing it. And the more you do that and the more you understand that, I'm telling you right now, the more referrals you're going to get. Because they're going to say, hey, you know what, Ryan, my real estate agent was unbelievable. He literally broke it down step by step for me. And that's something like we went through in listing presentations, right? So this says 30 minutes. We're going to get going today. It's 12:15. I want to respect your time. I appreciate teaching all of you. You have one more day of Ignite, and I want to congratulate every single one of you that have been through all of this from step one, from day one. Congratulations. Keep on moving forward. If you ever need anything, you can always reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, and you can find me in the white pages, in your MyKW. Not the white pages. What is it? White pages or whatever
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is white, it is white
Yeah,
pages.
still the white pages. Yep.
Still the white pages. Right? But listen, I'm here to help. I love referrals too, right? I love referrals for agents. I'd love to grow your downline. I'd love to grow profit share for you. So definitely, utilize me. Utilize all of your leadership in your office. And so find a script partner, practice role playing, everybody. And then, right, when you're lead genning, once again, compliance, do not call. Always remember that, everybody. Right. And what I want you to do, okay, is I want you to do real play today, everybody. I want you to promise me that you're going to do minimum 1 hour, okay, of lead gen today. 1 hour. Okay. And what I'd love for you to do is I'm going to post something in a little bit. And then I would love for you to then comment on it of how many people that you talked to, and then how many appointments did you get? All right. I want to thank all of you. Great job. I appreciate every single one of you. I want to thank Erin, and I want to thank Tim, especially too, for being here and being my partners in this. Because without them, this wouldn't be going on as well. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jameson. What a wealth of knowledge. We have an embarrassment of riches here in New
Thank
England.
you.
So the fact that you guys are plugging into this, I hope you understand the opportunity that's in front of you. So tomorrow we have contract to close with Susan Kenyon from our market center here in, I'm going to start calling it Greater Portsmouth because everybody just calls it Portsmouth.
Just call it whatever
Greater
you want.
Hartford, Greater Portland, Greater Portsmouth.
There
So
you go.
Susan Kenyon tomorrow for our contract to close. And then we are going to add an additional training either Thursday or Friday. We're not sure what day is going to work for our market center tech trainer, Robert Vincent, just to go over Facebook with you guys, some more command questions, just to put a bow on this. And Bill Barbin threw his phone number in the chat looking for some script partners. We'll also maybe match some people up with script partners too. So plan on tomorrow, and there will be one more day, Thursday or Friday. We'll get you guys back in the room for about an hour or so to do some tech stuff, just to put a bow on this. So thank you, Jameson, again for your time.
All right.
Today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Jameson.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Take care.